Hey everybody, how are you doing? Can you hear me? I can hear myself in my ears, so I'm assuming so. Hello, audience who have gotten here early. Hey Ruel, how are you doing? What just happened? Something just happened. Oh, Kabuki! resubscribed one more time. 9 months you've been with us. I guess all the way back from the beginning. Thank you for your ongoing support, Kabuki. Although, of course, it costs you nothing because you just used your Amazon Prime account to get a free subscription. And soon, Fem Sensei will be able to give you the big hug she really wants to give you. What the heck? How did a hype train just start? Really? Wow. Okay, that's pretty cool. That is a nice way to start things off. Here comes the hype train into the station. Because Fidelia also resubscribed, as did Corthane. Probably because Kabuki started a resubscribe cavalcade. It is a new month after all, and you do have to actually push the button manually. I don't know why. I guess it's just to encourage more engagement or to get people to, kind of spread the love around. Although, don't spread the love around. Give me all your love. I'll take it. Although, if you don't want to subscribe to my channel, your number 2 option, of course, should be the Ruel Gaviola Twitch channel as well, which is the one I am subscribed to. I believe I'm on my 5th straight month of subscribing. All right, Bodie Belly, thank you again. 6 months you've been with us, helping out that hype train. And Spectre giving away subscriptions. Thank you very much, too. Okay. Yes, I am a love vampire. Not a love machine, a love vampire. I suck it all in. Although, I will try to give a little bit of it back. All right. So, folks, there's a lot to do today. I got a long way to go and a short time to get there. Adam, thank you! 1,000 bits! That's fantastic! Wow! It's going to be a while before we unlock that bonus video, but we are on the way. That is very, very nice. Thank you. And I hope you enjoy. Hopefully you got a really good seat on the hype train with that very generous offer. A level 2 hype train. Woohoo! I did not expect this when we started out. That's all. It is definitely a party in here today. I clearly need to get one of those little things so I can have some analog alerts, a la my partner in crime, Ruel. I don't know if you're still here, Ruel. How are you doing? Apparently, Ruckus needs to talk to you about Schottentotten for some reason. I'm just passing it along in case you missed it. Okay. So anyway, folks, I am going to be recording the monthly roundup, just my part. I've got Shay's video and Kim's video, so I could do theirs as well, but I just did not have enough time to get all that set up. So I won't be filming the beginning of the monthly roundup or theirs. I'll do that separately and put it all together and make that a live video later in the week on YouTube. But I do still have 18 games that Jen and I played. Board Game Geek TV, happy Gen Con, y'all, says Board Game Geek TV. Well, that's a very nice thing to say. I have to say, happy Gen Con to you as well. Unfortunately, I will not be going there, but pretty much everybody else in the Rahdo Runs Through family will be there, I believe. I'm pretty sure everybody, everybody but me. So, and if you spot Ruel, apparently he'll be walking around with a Rahdo Runs Through t-shirt, so he will hopefully stand out from the crowd because he's a short fella. You wouldn't know it. You watch videos, he's got that deep, authoritative, almost James Earl Jones style voice. You think, oh, he must be a tower among men, but nope, he's like 5'7", something like that, just like a normal human being, give or take. And but definitely say hey to Ruel and Kimberly and Shay and everybody. I think even Mamie and Maggie have even flown across the pond. Wait, is the Pacific the pond? No, the Atlantic is the pond. What do Australians call it when they fly from Australia to America? I'm not sure. I don't know, what's a slang Australian word for pond or puddle? Anyway, yep, everybody will be there except for me. Ryan will be there, Ruel will be there, Shay, Kim, Amy, and Maggie, and hopefully they'll be hitting the booths and getting some good games to cover for the channel. Me, I am staying home because I have to. Jen is getting on a plane to, what is it, today, Tuesday? Yeah, tomorrow evening, and she is flying to England. She is going to spend a week and a half there with her sister and her niece and nephew. And she's going to be catching up on a lot of big glass orders. These usually build up for like a couple of years, and she needs to get back in her English galleries and stuff like that. And she'll be seeing all the sights. So I had to stay home to take care of the chickens and the dogs because as much as we try to make them self-sufficient, they cannot take care of themselves as yet. So I'll be flying solo all by myself this month and watching from afar as everybody enjoys the Gen Con. Let's see here. But well, anyway, as I was saying, folks, I've got 18 games to talk about in the roundup, and then I've got like another 9 games to talk about because through a fluke of timing, I'm doing 2 long list shows today with episode 4 of Crowd Sorcery. So I'm going to have to do both of those. And I promised I would unbox this box of sci-fi silliness. So there is no time to waste. Let me just make sure everything's going fine. Obviously, you can see and hear me. No one has complained. I don't think I haven't heard a, hey, listen in my ear. So I think everything's going fine. People are starting to show up. That's great. Maybe next year, Adam. Maybe next year. I make no promises. Oops, whoops. I clicked the wrong thing. I meant to click on Adam saying, but I got a James Earl Jones reference from Ruel. Is his deep not incredibly deep and bassy and resonating? I bet you if he worked on it, he could probably do a pretty good Darth Vader. I would be willing to bet. But anyway, folks, let's make sure. Yeah, see. Let's get this camera over here. That's a little low. This is a big game, isn't it? But we'll see. Because for starters, we are going to unbox some unboxiness. Okay, cool. Yeah, this will work. This will work. Out of the way, keyboard. We'll come back to you in a second, miniatures. Because it is time to explore the Stars of Akarios. Whee! Which I am very stoked about. I almost covered this when it was on Kickstarter, whatever it was, a few years ago. But if I recall correctly, the timing just did not work out. I could not squeeze it into my schedule because I knew it was going to be such a monsterly big game. I mean, just look how big this box is. It's pretty much, I would say it's almost exactly the size of Gloomhaven's box. And that's about appropriate because this is, looks like level 2 hype train leaving the station. Thank you again, everybody, for the support. Oh, we made it to level 3. That is fantastic. Thanks, everybody. Anyway, sorry. So this is basically, as I understand it, Gloomhaven meets Star Trek. You are trekking around the stars, exploring new sectors of space, having away missions on planets, but a big portion of the game is ship-to-ship tactical combat that looks very reminiscent of Gloomhaven, although in a very different way. So anyway, let's take a looky-loo, and right off the bat, well, it looks like, do we have a star chart of some sort? Oh my goodness. Jeez Louise. People of a certain age, am I the only one who's reminded of Star Control 2? Remember, did anybody out here playing Star Control 2 on the PC back in the day? And you had to use your big intergalactic map as your key to be able to get into the game because that was the old anti-piracy methods. Of course, Kabuki Kid knows what I'm talking about, Star Control 2. Yeah, this gives me some flashbacks. This is not quite as big as the Urquan-dominated space of Star Control 2, but now I'm wondering, is this more of a Star Control 2 meets Gloomhaven? That'd be cool for me. Okay, we've got, we've actually not anywhere near as many cheat sheets as I would have thought. All right, so there's different alien ships, and I guess there are miniature versions of all the ships, but if you didn't get the extra miniature box, then you've got cool little alien ships. Again, I am definitely thinking Star Control. More and more, the more I open this, which makes me very happy. Man, I love that game so much. I love the original Star Control as well, although I didn't play that on PC. I played that on my old Sega Genesis. Played that to death with an old Nintendo colleague of mine, Patrick. He would come over and we would play that thing for hours. You know, the whole 3D chessboard and engaging in battle. And he always rocked the Urquan, and I was always the little, what were they, the Spathy, the super tiny flying saucers that had no hit points, but just like, you know, ultimate maneuverability and teleporting. And that was an ultimate David and Goliath showdown that we were constantly doing. Launch fighters, launch fighters. So, okay. So, some ships, some tokens. Looks like some space nebula type stuff. Some more ships that you will engage. We've got, I assume these are probably our ships. Yep, is that a... Yep, okay, so these are different... Yeah, okay, so we're not necessarily in an Enterprise-y type thing. We are we're in a smaller fighter ship type thing. All right, cool. Star Control vibes, getting stronger. And then we've got these things. Oh, are these crew members? Dusty and K2. Yeah, I'm betting these are members of your crew you can get if you want to make certain investments. All right, we got some asteroid fields, some big planets that will go out that we fight amongst. All right, and yeah. You know, I said this is very Gloomhaven reminiscent, but not in terms of, if that's it for tokens, that's a small number. which I'm not complaining about. I mean, Gloomhaven does get a little carried away with the tokens. I think we can all agree. Okay, this looks like very elaborate. Are these triple layer? Nope, these are double layer player boards with slots for your engines upgrades, your weapon upgrades, your technology upgrades, your pilot, your ship upgrades, your ship. Okay, I guess you can have your ship and you can have a pilot like a first officer. All these indented, no doubt. I'm gonna guess that's shields. I'm gonna guess that's weapons. I'm gonna guess that's, what is that? Is that communications? What is that symbol right there? It's a head. It's a person's skull with arrows. Is that some kind of stress meter or something? I don't know. And all right, so I do know down here that the ship combat, you're rolling dice and kind of doing worker placement style stuff. So these are different actions, and I think you put other stuff in here so you can activate your ship, how you're going to maneuver and whatnot. And then there's another one and another one and another one. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, this is super thick. I've felt a lot of game tray tiles and lids. This feels like twice as thick a plastic as a regular game tray. And then we've got 50 bajillion cards. Start here in Fulia. Pilot abilities, ship abilities, modifiers, co-pilot abilities. Obviously different ship stats. Boy. Enemy combat cards. Okay, yeah, because they have an enemy combat system driven by cards. And start here at the Chosik. Something like that. All right, so apparently this is super nice. Just keep all your cards handy dandy. That's quite cool. And then we've got, okay, again, vibes of Gloomhaven. You've got your own little piece of paper to keep track of all the development of your ship and crew instead of your character. That's very nice. And then what we got? Okay. These, I'm going to assume, there's 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them, so these must be different ships. Right, so this is for when you go on an away mission, and you could be a very, fight. Okay, that's not very Star Trek-y. Yep, I'm definitely thinking more and more, this is Star Control meets Gloomhaven. And just snap these together, let pop in. Does it go in like this? I don't know. Right, which shape is it? All right, I can't quite make out. Which is the round side? That's the round side. That's the round side. So in theory, it is like this. All right. You may not be able to tell, folks, but the lighting in here is actually fairly dim. I do that on purpose so I can have like a really nice inky black background. And so, nope, I can't get this to plug in. I'm sure it does, but I failed in front of all of you. Try a different chip. See if I can plug this one together. All right, and there's yeah, okay, we are definitely not doing much in the way of diplomacy on our away missions. We are going down to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and we're all out of gum. All right, I can kind of feel it slipping on, but man, this is tight. And, all right, okay, try it this way. Okay, there we go. I've done it! Some construction acquired. There's a little ship. Alrighty, and does it fit? Do I have to take that back off? Nope, it would have, okay, that's nice. So it looked like, and then apparently each player has their own personal deck of modifier cards. Again, the Gloomhaven is strong with this one. Alright, and so we've got some of these ships. We've got, oh, nice little things for each enemy. Okay, so again, double layered, so you keep track, little cubes, keep track of all the stats of the enemy ships you're fighting against. Anything more into there? Nope, just and then a big old deck of combat effect cards. And then this is the deck that represents the galaxy. When you're playing the Explore the Galaxy and I'm going to head south, draw a card 5-2, I'm going to head west, Space West, and go draw a card 4.3 and see what you find out there. And looks like some more player sheets for keeping track of your stuff. Here's all the cubes. Alrighty, the Sparrow. What is the Sparrow is on the ground amongst the dog fur. Let me fix that. All right, so I don't know. I'm going to assume, oh, wow, okay. So this is obviously a permanent thing. You put a die here to make this happen. So maybe this is our mothership kind of a thing. Runaway, trauma, different effects. This holds in. And then I guess you probably keep all the cubes in here. Yeah, I'm going to assume we must have a mothership in addition to all our little fighter ships. As you can see, I do not know that much about this game. Ah, and here we are. Space! But let's come back to that in a second. I imagine... Oh, and then we have scenario book. Oh, this is fairly thick. And then under all that, we've got, okay, some standees. If you don't have the miniatures for the enemy ships, these are the standees for the enemy ships. Here's all the dice that you use to program your movement or your attack patterns. Attack pattern alpha. And then, okay, there's a bunch of ships in here. And more miniatures. I guess this is probably something we have to fight down on the planet's surface and whatnot. Okay, so let's just take a quick look without getting too spoilersome. I didn't see a rule book. I guess the rule book must be in here too, in this scenario book. It must be. All right, out of the way, box. Okay, welcome to the Stars of Akarios. War has taken a scourging toll. When the Rathans attacked the Media and started this fight, it sparked the creation of the United Intergalactic Alliance. See, Star Trek. State-of-the-art navy designed by the Celestians and led by Captain Soma, and since has brought the Rathans to their knees, etc., etc. Learn to fly. Okay, QR code just to go. Right, and so I guess... Yep, all right, so just all the basics of how things lay out and repacking up. There we have a training mission in space with some asteroids, and probably that's where we spawn. Yeah, okay, yeah, the Sparrow. This is our mothership. We spawn from so it's like a Battlestar Galactica kind of gig. We've got to protect the Galactica at all costs when we go into the space combat missions. That must be it. And, yeah, the planets and stuff like that. And then more things and more and more and more and more and more. And that would be spoilery. That's weird, though. Where were the rules? Ah, here's the rules on the other side of space. So, alrighty. Rulebook. A lot of components. All right, just setting up. Right, this is what space combat is like. This is where the Gloom, although I guess, I wonder how big a component of that, Gloomhaven has some traveling around, but it's almost inconsequential. It seems like this game has more if you've got miniatures and places to explore and whatnot. But 19 pages is setup and space combat. Or no, we're still on space combat. We're still on space combat. We're still on space combat. Yeah, so about the first 20 or more pages is all about space combat. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 2.5 pages about space exploration and the market, and then we've got a half a page, all example. So about 2.5 pages for exploration, 2.5 pages for space versus, and then 20 some pages. So clearly, it's all about the space combat, which happens here. Okay, wow, now that's interesting. This is a very tiny board. This is not very big. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then obviously we saw the pieces. You put asteroid belts and stuff like that in. Is there anything different on the other side? Just open space. I wonder if that's just aesthetic or if that has some function. I can't imagine these have a function. Maybe they do. I could have done some research ahead of time, couldn't I? And yet I didn't, folks. But, I was about to say that's it, we're done. Except, no, we're not done. Because we got more plastic in the ships of Akarios. The miniature expansion, which I assume is just going to be a lot more ships to replace those cardboard standees. Yep, there we go. That's a very cool space whale. And, did we have an encounter with this at Farpoint? I'm not quite sure. Okay. And, oh, wow. Oh, geez, there's even more. Jeez Louise. Oh, my goodness gracious. Look at this. That's a half a Death Star right there with big guns. And big ships. Man, I wish it was washed. I have gotten so spoiled. The few, what do they call it? The sunspot? The sun drop wash? I really need to learn how to do that myself. Because these are very nice. They seem very detailed. Little divots and rivets and all kinds of stuff. But, man, having that sunspot or whatever it's called wash, I'm sure somebody is saying in the comment what it's actually called, would definitely improve that quite a bit. All right, so a bunch more ships. And that's it, folks. I have done the first of 3 things that I promised I would do. I have unboxed Stars of Akarios, and I have made a huge mess. And I am just exercising everything to off camera because it doesn't make much sense to have it kind of lingering in the background while I'm doing the monthly roundup and all that. So all of you come down here. You guys can just go over there off camera. It'll be a secret between you and me, folks, that you know, if you watch my monthly roundup, that all that space stuff is just right there. Bye-bye. Boop. Oh, okay. One thing down. Hey, J.K. William Wonka. Thank you for subscribing. And getting us one step closer to unlocking bonus videos. Yay. Using the Amazon Prime. The power of Prime. 100 years from now, we'll pay for everything with Prime bucks. That is our future. Okay, so. Sundrop. Thank you, Kabuki Kid. Yes, all right. Oh, is Aldi here? Well, hey, Aldi. Hey, Scott. How are you doing? You are one of the reasons I'm sad I'm not going to Gen Con. If you're still here, I would love to sit down and chat. It's always fun, chewing the fat with you about the good old days and the modern days and the future days and all that. Sorry, I will not be at Gen Con. I hope you have a good time. I hope you have a better time than you have in past years, since you will have no stress. You're just going there to have fun. You don't have to worry about putting on a big show. So that is fantastic. Okay. So that was big ticket item number 1. Big ticket item number 2 is we are going to record the Rahdo Roundup. Although, what is Nazgoth resubscribing for 9 months also? I guess welcome to August. Everybody's got to hit the resub button. That is cool. That is nice. Is there some kind of plugin you can use that will just automatically do it for you? I don't know. I'm sure the powers that be at Twitch have their reasons for doing it this way. But anyway, oh, right. Aldi, still recovering from COVID. So you're not going either. Oh, man, I'm sorry. This would have been your big opportunity. Yeah, I saw on Alaboom that you couldn't make it for the big Gen Con. Did you watch that whole Gen Con thing that Lance and Keith and, who else was there? I don't remember now. But anyway, boy, they needed us because they were not ready to talk about anything. They didn't know any of the games. Matt. Yeah, Matt was there. Still, it's always good to watch. Yes, I agree, Aldi. They definitely needed some help. Actually, I coincidentally, I put up my top 20 Gen Con games like either the next day on Thursday or Friday, and Keith posted there, man, I wish I'd seen this before we'd done the Alaboom. Alrighty. So, okay, we're all caught up with that. Let's see. Yeah, it's so, 18 games plus 9 more games. What is that? That is 27 games I'm going to have to talk about. On average, 3 minutes a game. This is going to take a long time. So while I would love to sit around and chat for a while, hey, you know what? Oh, I see some people have thrown some questions into the queue. Folks, if you would like to ask me questions and you would like me not to miss them in the scrolling scrum of the multicolored Twitch chat channel, by all means, start your question with a question mark, because that means it goes into a special queue where I will not miss it. So, let's see here. What have people been asking? Kabuki asks, have I seen the trailer for Andor? Any hope there? No, you haven't been overly happy with the Star Wars shows. Actually, I'm going to buck the trend. I thought Obi-Wan Kenobi was pretty good. I had problems with it, definitely. You go too far, sister. You don't go far enough! Like not even as good as video game level dialogue often throughout the show. It's like when you can anticipate, okay, what's the most cliche thing this character could say right now? They said it, but Ewan McGregor was great. His journey was great. Coming back from a broken man, bearing the weight of the responsibility for the destruction of, the Senate and, the rise of, Obi-Wan Kenobi carried that on his shoulders. And by the end of the show, he has gone on a journey that I think justifies Alec Guinness being a cheery, oh, hello there type guy when you get to New Hope. So I appreciated it for that. I appreciate it as the connective tissue. And again, Ewan McGregor, I could just watch him do anything. If you've never seen it, I think it's on Apple Plus. You can watch all of his and Charlie Borman's series. I think he's done 3 or maybe 4 series where they get on motorcycles and literally drive around the world and just have all kinds of adventures. It's called Long Way Round, and then Long Way Up, and then Long Way Down. The most recent one they did with electric motorcycles, but the first one they did like 15 years ago. One of the best series I've ever seen. And I mean, if you don't come out of that thinking, oh, I want Ewan McGregor to be my best friend, then I don't know what's wrong with you. So I really dug Obi-Wan Kenobi. I loved a lot of the ideas without going into any spoilers or not. And I loved the ambition of Boba Fett. I just felt like some pieces need to be in different places. And then, obviously, I am famously a very down on Mandalorian. Mandalorian has always felt like, oh, this is a video game that's been turned into a series, and they literally didn't rewrite anything. It's video game level stuff. Compared to everything else we can watch these days, including Marvel TV stuff, I mean, geez Louise, Hawkeye and Ms. Marvel were both fantastic compared to the Star Wars stuff. But anyway, as to your question, Andor, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling about it. I liked the guy in the movie, and we're now seeing his backstory that he talked about in the movie. It could be good. I'll watch it. But yeah, I'm not jonesing for it, but I'm not jonesing for any of the Star Wars stuff because I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan in the universe. Continuing on, Eric asks, do I know anything about the gameplay for the new expansion for Foundations of Rome? I know nothing, Eric, about the gameplay of Foundations of Rome. I know it's a tile laying game that they said tiles, those are for toddlers. This is how you make a tile laying game, and then they make big, gigantic, beautiful 3D miniatures for all your polyomino tiles you're supposed to tile lay. I have not played it. I have not looked at it. I'm kind of kicking myself because Arcane Wonders did offer to send me a review copy of it, and I said, well, wait, people can't buy it, right? Because this was so why would I cover it? Plus, it's a huge box. I don't have room for it. And now, you can buy it at conventions. They're doing upcoming expansions. I'm kind of feeling stupid that I did not cover it when I had the chance. I'm feeling very stupid about that because I would like to give it a go because it seems like everybody likes it. But no, I have completely missed the boat on that one. You're barking up the wrong tree. Alrighty. All right. Bodie asked if I was going to Board Game Geek Con. Nope. As I discussed earlier, I'm staying home with the chickens while my wife travels to Europe. So you will not see me there. Oh, going to BGG Con or other cons. I don't know. I have to talk to Aldi about that. I have to talk with Jen about that. I'll just put all my cards on the table. And Scott, I'll let you know if you're here too. One of the big reasons that I love going to the conventions to see friends. That's great. But the main reason it's great for us to go to convention is because generally we can wrangle a booth for my wife Jen to sell her glasswares, and she does very, very well at these conventions selling gamerglass.art. But recently she has started doing these exclusive closed Facebook online sales where she does almost as well as she does at the conventions, and she does not have to leave the comfort of her lazy boy. And we are still stinging from the fact that not Spirit, was it Spirit Airlines or Southwest Airlines would not give us a refund when we flew back from Dice Tower West back in, February. Our flight was canceled. We had to book another flight, and since it was last minute, it ended up costing, it pretty much not completely wiped out all of Jen's profits but had a huge dent, and we were really angry about that, and they said they'd do a refund, and they haven't, and so we're still stinging about that, and so we're kind of both sour on air travel when it boils right down to it. So I'm not quite sure yet. Ask me again in a few months when the sting is gone. I mean, it would be great to see Lance and Scott and Keith and everybody. And all of the Blunderbuss people. Hey, Blunderbuss TV. Thanks for joining. I'm so sorry you just missed my epic unboxing of Stars of Akarios. It was so cool. It was so wonderful. Oh, you missed it all. But I will be doing a full run through of it this month. What we're about to do is I'm going to be filming, live streaming myself, filming a YouTube show called the Rahdo Roundup, which is where I do a countdown of all the games I played over the preceding month. I've got 18 games to rank, as to do a countdown and crown a new game of the month and all of that. So we'll be starting that soon, but I was just doing a little bit of Q&A with the audience. Let's see here. And the next question was from Bodie Belly, which was thoughts on the mini expansion for Guild of Merchant Explorers. You know what? I got it. I haven't even played it. I've played all 4 of the main maps that came with the game, and I've got the mini map, but I didn't feel like I needed to play it to be able to run the game, and since I knew not everybody was going to get it, so I didn't highly prioritize that. Next time I play Guild of Merchant Explorers, though, I am going to play with that, because, yeah, more maps is good. I don't think the game needs it. I think just what comes in the box is good. But I'm excited to get more. And if I didn't have it, it is definitely something I would want, because it seems to me it seems a very high likelihood that Guild of Merchant Explorers will make it into my top 10 games of the year. Way too early to say. So many games are coming out at Gen Con, and more importantly, Essen Spiel. So I don't want to jinx you, Guild of Merchant Explorers, but yeah, I mean, more things to explore is definitely a plus in my book. Okay, we have a follow-up question from the last stream, which we didn't quite get to, but I'll answer it. Being asked, when playing Exit Lord of the Rings, do I eat potato chips as a snack? That's because in the last episode, we talked about the new Exit the Game Lord of the Rings, which is, I was so excited about because, hey, that might actually get me back into, what do you call them? Escape room in a box. It's getting hot in here, folks. Taking off my socks. Escape room in a box type games. And because we're so burned out on them. We played dozens and dozens of them. But Lord of the Rings, definitely interested. And I think we also had a question of like game snacks in that episode. So Bing said, do eat, and he just wanted me to say potato, which I have now done, even though I don't know if Bing is here. Bing, that one was for you. And let's see, and then we had one more question. This was also from last week. Notice you don't have Voyages ranked. Do you not consider it to be a retail release? No, Delta, that is a very good point. I should totally have Voyages ranked. I do consider it a retail release, even if it is only a print and play game. And I own it. I ultimately did go ahead and back it myself. I just got, feels like a week ago, I got the 5th map in the mail. Haven't made time for that yet. So let's rank it right now. Hold on a second. Let's go over to Board Game Geek. Alrighty. Bloop, there we are. And Voyages. Do I really not have that ranked? That is a huge oversight on my part. No, I do not. Okay, I have not ranked it. Now, how do I rank it? What I need to do is I need to open another window. Open a new tab to the right. And this one is games.rahdo.com. Okay, this is a list of all the games in my collection as I rank them. Surprise, my number 1 game right there. Now, so I need to figure out where does Voyages sit. I'm thinking it's maybe like, I'm going to start out like in 8.3 territory. Let's look at that. 8.3. Okay, 8.3. Do I like Voyages more than the Grizzled? I think so, yes. If Voyages was only ever just one map, I would say no. But the fact that there's so much variety with all the different maps that keep coming out, I will say it goes higher. It goes higher than Viceroy, Botanic. Let's jump. Oh. Does it go higher than Marvel Champions, the card game? Oh. Ooh, that might be a hard wall right there. I think I would put it over Railroad Inc. Okay, that was easy. I didn't have to look. Okay, I'm going to rank it in 8.307, which puts it between this 8.306 and this 8.308. 8.307. I do own it. That is a huge oversight on my part. I'm just not used to this whole retail via print and play. All right, so my ranking. What did I just say? It was 8.307. Boom. Thank you, Delta. Properly ranked now. Okay, cool. And we're done with that, and we're done with you, so we can come back to you, and I can close that off the screen. Alrighty. That was some nice chit-chat. Hopefully, Happy is here. Thank you for resubscribing. Very, very kind of you. And, oh dear, I just looked over at the chat. And you're doing egg puns? Okay, folks, I cannot partake of that. Although, actually, longtime fans of the show know, at some point over the next few days, I will go back and I will watch this entire show at like 16x speed, specifically because that is about the speed that I read the chat. So I can read all the chat, and if there were any questions that I missed or any important things, that I'll be able to respond to directly to people via the Twitch Whisper system. But for now, I do have to get to work. I've got, 27 games to talk about on 2 shows I've got to record right now, right? So I'm going to do the roundup first because I've got all my tabs set up for that. Let me make sure they are all still set up, that I haven't messed things up. All right, is that, no. Wait, what the, oh, here we go. I've got so many tabs open. There we go. Yes. All right, so that's my number 18. Let me get my banner back up. And right, so I can mark that. Cool. So here's the deal, folks. I am not going to be recording the introduction. Hey, everybody, here's what we did this month of June, and here's what's going on with the show. I'm not going to record all that. I'm going to record that tomorrow offline. Nor am I going to be recording Shay and Kimberly and Ryan and Amy and Maggie and Ruel's segments, where we talk about all the games that they played in June. I'm just going to do that offline. So you have to imagine, hey, I just talked about all of that stuff. I did the intro, so I did some throwing from one folks to another and all of that, and then we jumped to me saying, well, that was a lot of games, folks, and now we're going to continue with the Bippity Bop. But before we do that, before we start filming, as is tradition, it's time for a battle royale, where all you subscribers can fight to the death for 100 gold coins, which you can use to customize your avatar. Only subscribers get to get in on this. Let me go on ahead and see. All right, we got a good lineup. 90 viewers at the time. Oh my goodness, folks, prepare for some pixel bloodshed. Alrighty, and where am I? I'm completely, I can't find myself amongst the scrum. I'm out there, but there's Board Game DT. There's Scott Alden with his big elephant nose, stabbing Real Gaviola in the back, and going and throwing down with Brenner, and then running, and now everybody's going after Scott, but Scott breaks free, throws down with Bodie Belly, but Bodie Belly has the Halo sword, Flashburn backstabs Scott. Scott, run! Oh, Scott, you shouldn't have thrown down with Flashburn. He's an old pro, but I deliver the coup de grace, Scott. Don't you forget it. But now I'm in the corner. My yellow balloon will not save me from Adam, who quickly dispatches me. Okay, meanwhile, what have we got over there? An epic battle between Andrew Scott and Mayan, and Andrew's plunger wins the day, and he gets a health pack, and he throws down with Bodie Belly, and Bodie Belly is no match. It's Flashburn versus Andrew, but Andrew, you should turn and run. Look at those swords, a lightsaber and a big energy sword. Your plunger was no match, sir. And Flashburn, 2012, wins the day. Yay! Okay. And for folks who are wondering what the heck was that, it's just a fun little thing you can do with the avatars. Nobody had any control. Nobody was able to make it. It's just all kind of, they run around randomly and stab each other. But somebody got lucky and won 100 gold. And Scott, I took you out. I talk about kicking a man when he's down. Jeez. I do hope you're feeling better, Scott. And that was heartbreaking. I think you were talking a bit in the other chat about how, you missed like the last 2 or 3 days of your cruise. You were literally quarantined. Oh, that must have been horrible. I assume Michelle was stuck, so at least you had Michelle there with you. But all right. I hope you get better soon, man. And wait a minute, weren't you sure you had COVID back at the start? Because I remember a couple of years ago when it was starting to go around, you and Michelle both had just some incredibly debilitating, just laid you out so low that you always kind of felt like, oh, hey, maybe we were in the first round. I don't remember now. I'm not even sure if you're still there, Scott. But, let's see. Yeah. But, okay. We have unboxed the game. We have royally battled. It is now time for me to do what I came here to do, which is film Rahdo Roundup. Right, for the July episode. Let me bring that back up on screen. I've got my number 80. Spoiler alert, folks. My number 18 at the bottom of my list is Claim 2. Do I have to have that on the screen right now? No, what am I going to do? It'll be all of them, and then it'll be full screen me, and then it'll cut to this, or will it? Will it just cut directly to, or will I? Right, what will it be? I'm actually now trying to figure out how I'm going to edit this together. It would have been me talking about the games. that what we're jumping into in the middle of the scene, folks, is I just finished talking about, let's say, Amy and Maggie, who played Stardew Valley and did. Oh man, that was such an enjoyable run through they did. They are such a delight to watch. But anyway, and that was it for all the contributors, folks. And now Stardew Valley will still continue to be on screen while I'm talking about this. And I'll say, but enough about the contributors. You came here to hear what Jen and I played and blah, blah, blah. Well, remember, this is a countdown from our least favorite to our most favorite. And so we're going to start out with, and then Claim 2 comes on the screen. Because Claim 2, well, I'll explain myself in a moment. And remember, folks, if during this filming you have any questions, by all means ask them, but start the question with a question mark so it goes in my queue. And between the two shows I have to film today, the Roundup and the Crowd Sorcery, we'll do a bit of Q&A, a little bit more questions if you put them in the queue. Right. So let me just make sure all my tabs are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I only see 17. Oh, 18. There it is. Okay, cool. All right. Fine. I have tried to do this live in the past and realized I did not have a tab and then suddenly had to stop midway through. It was... Whew. Okay. So... Also, let me go on ahead and put the reminder up there. So that is a reminder to anybody who shows up midway through that, unless there's some kind of catastrophic problem, like my sound goes out or my video goes out, I'm just going to keep going. And once I'm done with the show, because I film it pretty much in one stream of consciousness, then I'll stop and we'll do some back and forth and answer questions and all of that. And this is also reminding people to start your question with a question mark so that I won't miss it. And Kabuki Kid is making me self-conscious about saying cool all the time. Yes. Thank you for sticking that in my head. That is totally going to throw me off at some particular point. Okay. Right, okay. But otherwise, we are ready to go. So then that means... It'll be that. Okay, yeah. So I just have to have this up and ready, so I don't have to do the transition. So, bip. Right, so there it is. The video's queued up. Claim 2 is on the screen. And the word, number 18. But remember, folks, for the beginning of this, you're still going to have to pretend that over there is Stardew Valley. And then I'm just going to have to edit all this together. Which I hate editing, but it's not too bad. I've gotten much better at it over the years. Okay. Sorry. One more sip. And then the... I was not quite as ready as I thought I was. And which gives me the opportunity to say, Danuga, thank you for resubscribing. 9 months! You've stuck with us this long. I guess I must be doing something right. Thank you very much for supporting the show, as always. Oh, and CBS Inc. I'm sorry, I missed you subscribing with Prime. Thank you also. The Columbia Broadcast System is here in person. Jeez. I wonder if... Can you give me a deal for network syndication? That would be amazing. That would really help my numbers. Okay. All right, we're going to have to do the slapper, clapper again. All right, so. But, folks, enough about all those contributors' games. I have to admit, I'm so happy we had all 5 contributors putting stuff up, and we'll see if we can pull that off again in August. But now, the moment you've all been waiting for, or maybe not, I am going to count down the 18 games and game expansions that Jen and I played. And man, that's a lot, especially considering we were on the road for such a big portion of the month. But somehow, by hook or by crook, we played a bunch of games. And so I'm going to be counting them down, starting with my least favorite and ending with our most favorite, which will be our new game of the month. And so without further ado, let's talk about number 18 on the list, Claim Claim 2. And now, there is nothing wrong with this wonderful little two-player trick-taking game from Scott Almes. I mean, you know there's nothing wrong because there was already a Claim, and that was so popular that it got a sequel, Claim 2, because people clearly loved it. And this is a game set in a fantasy universe where we are trying to win tricks. But it's interesting because there's two halves of the game. In the first half of the game, we're trying to win tricks, but not to win the trick gets thrown away, but instead to win bonus cards that are off to the side, because we're building a new deck by winning tricks, and then in the second half of the game, that new deck we built from everything we've won goes head to head to see who wins the game. And not surprisingly, all the different cards for the different fantasy races, trolls and gnomes and whatnot, have special powers if you use them at the right time in the first half or the second half of the game. It's all very clever, and I could see why so many people really did Claim and Claim 2. So why did it come in at the bottom of the list for us? This is the game, folks, that once and for all convinced me and Jen we do not like trick-taking games. Even when they're done really well, which we're seeing more and more really smartly designed two-player trick-taking games these days, and Claim is really at the forefront of it. But still, this is a game where for 20 to 30 minutes, your sole goal is to try to outfox and flummox your opponent. And Jen and I just don't like trying to trick each other and bluff each other. It's just, we just don't, even when it's done so well here, it's just not a good fit for us. Trick-taking games, as it turns out, are not very Care Bear friendly, at least in our opinion, which is why, as good as it is, my number 18 of the month is Claim 2. But then we move on to number 17, Sunny Day Sardines, which is a very sharp little set collection game. We actually played this one on the road with my nephew, if I recall correctly. And then Jen and I played another game when we got back home really quick as a two-player game too, because this is a fast, just a little featherweight game, and it's really simple. You have a hand of cards. Your maximum hand size is 6, if I recall correctly, and on your turn, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to collect 2 fish from the fish market and add them to your hand, or you are going to spend fish from your hand to complete contracts. At any given time, there are 4 contracts out on the board, and the trick is you get to take 2 fish. That means you could either take a single card that has 2 fish on it, or if there are singles, you can take 2 single fish. And that's really great because the, the contracts are changing all the time as people fulfill contracts. I was like, I just need 1 more green and I can fulfill that big 4-point green. Oh, you took it. Now what am I going to do with the 2 green I have? Well, you know what? Maybe I could go for another one. This thing that needs, multiple pairs or what have you. Or I can pivot and try to do something else. So the game it's very fast playing, a fun little tense game. And again, the rules you could teach. I almost taught you all the rules of the game. You either take 2 fish, and at the end of your turn, you have to discard down to 6, or you spend them, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game by completing the most contracts wins. We liked it. My nephew liked it. It is especially interesting because of that constant tension. Right, I know you... Did you take a green fish? Should I take this now, or am I wasting my time? Because when it comes around to you, you've got everything you need, and there's no point for me trying to complete this green contract. And so, I mean, honestly, to play well, there's a little bit of a memory element, which I have to admit is not my favorite thing. But we all enjoyed it, but it is featherweight. This is the very definition of a gateway game to play with friends, to try to get them involved in something other than hearts or euchre or something like that. Because there's a little bit of a theme. Hey, going to the fish market to fulfill contracts and stuff like that. It's a nicely presented little game. The whole thing fits in a tin that is literally the size of a sardine tin, which is very, very cool. And we liked it. It's just too lightweight for us to be a keeper, which is why it comes in at number 17. Sunny Day Sardines. Then we move on to number 16, Walkie Talkie. And this is a very neat, fun little party game that is really interesting. It's real time, which I understand is going to be a turn off for some people, but for us it worked really well. Basically, I forget what the timer is. I think it's like it's only like a minute or 2 minutes or something like that. But everybody has a hand of cards, and the cards either have colors or numbers on or letters on them. And and basically what you're trying to do is play either in the middle of the board. There's also a color discard pile and a letter discard pile. If I play a D to the letter discard pile, and at the top of the color discard pile is an orange card, that means I have to on the moment, come up with a single word that starts with the letter D that is associated with the color orange. Or on the flip side, if the letter E is on the table and I discard a yellow card, I have to immediately, to be able to discard this card, we're trying to get rid of our cards as fast as we can, I have to come up with a word that is traditionally a yellow thing that starts with the letter E. And honestly, I'm thinking, I just want to give an example right now, and I can't. All I can think of is elephant. Tell me in the chat, folks. If you had, what is a traditionally yellow thing that starts with the letter E? I don't know, but that's the crux of the game. And the thing is, it plays so fast because everybody's trying to get rid of their cards as fast as they can, because that's how we communally, this is a cooperative game, score enough points. And if you have a hand of cards and you can't think of anything, I can't think of any orange uses for these letters. I can't think of any E uses for these colors. You have two things you can do. You can issue a command that tells everybody to flip their hands over so that you and everyone else, suddenly all your color cards become letters and your letter cards become numbered or colors. Or you can do a thing where everybody hands their hand clockwise around the table, and often we found that was the key to success. If you're stuck, you just can't look at these anymore because you just you can't figure it out. Egg, because of the egg yolk. Of course, egg yolks are yellowish. That's a perfect one. So if I could think of that in real time, I'd slap that yellow down and, it'd be an egg. That's an example. Thank you to the live chat, Dr. Claw and Hawkskull for throwing that my way. The chat, because I'm streaming this live right now, is doing better than I am. It's a silly, fun game, and it really forces your brain to kind of like decouple and just start thinking in completely different ways because of the pressure of the real time. Although you can play it without the timer too, just kind of as a warm up, but then you want the timer to really push. It's a fun, sharp game. Jen and I don't have much use for it because it is a party game, and while you could play it as two, I don't know why you'd want to. The more people you have around the table frantically making people switch your hand and do things, and plus the more people that are playing besides you, the more often the discard piles shift up. So if you're stuck, well, you know what? Hey, maybe somebody else is going to change that orange into a purple, and that's the perfect thing for your E because an eggplant is purple. Hey, I could think of one. So it's a clever game if you're looking for a fun, fast, real-time, cooperative party game that makes your brain just try to fire new synapse connections. It might be worth checking out. It's just not a long-termer for me and Jen, but we did enjoy our time with number 17, Walkie Talkie. Then we move on to, that was number 16. Number 15 is Trek 12, which actually, this is a fairly popular, I think, series of roll and writes. Very light, because there's been a few different versions of it and expansions that come out over the year. We had the Himalayas version. And at its heart, this is a game where every round, 2 dice are going to get rolled. And bingo style, everybody uses those 2 dice to write a number somewhere on their sheet of paper that represents the mountain that they are trying to climb. And what you're trying to do is make a series of numbers on your mountain that are either ascending, going from a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, and that creates a trail that will score you more points based on the length of it, and how high the highest number is. Or alternatively, you're trying to create groups of the same number, and so the bigger that grouping is, the more points it is. And so that's a really interesting thing, every time. But what's really cool about the game is how you get those numbers. Because say you rolled a 4 and a 5. You have a few choices. You could add the 4 and 5 together to get a 9. You could subtract the 4 from the 5 and get a 1. You could multiply the 4 and the 5 and get a 20. Or you could use the low value, the 4, or the high value, the 5. So when you roll these 2 dice, you have a lot of options. You're really restricted in how you expand on the board and how you're trying to get everything to work. But the dice give you a surprising amount of options until you start using those options. Because every time you do any type of move, like say you use the lower value die, you have to mark that you've done it. And you can only do any of those those different calculations 4 times over the course of the game. So if you used up all your multiplies to get a bunch of high numbers, then you can't do it anymore when the perfect number comes along. So there's a fair bit to balance. And then on top of that, The game comes with little envelopes that you can open up to play over time, and get special player powers, and you can get equipment that will let you do things like manipulate dice and do all kinds of fancy stuff. So it was a fun game. Jen and I definitely enjoyed it. But it is still very much on the light side. I would happily play this game with anybody, but I do think it is best suited, again, as kind of a gateway. And probably the most interesting thing about this game is the built-in longevity, because especially if you get the I believe it's called the plus 12 expansion or something like that, the game comes with a lot of systems that encourage players to play multiple games over multiple sessions, over multiple months. And based on the events that will happen in a game, you unlock certain envelopes, but the contents of that envelopes belongs to one particular person. And so the next time you play, I get my stuff out of my envelope, or other players could then take it from you. There's a lot of interesting systems that give kind of like a built-in long-term metagame. And that's where I think the game really sings, and it really becomes interesting as you start to develop this history, as you play over and over and over again. And, there's like the equivalent of the old arcade game. There's a sheet where you keep track of high scores for everybody, and it's meaningful in this game, unlike those old arcade machines that would get reset every night when the arcade shut down. So I really liked that. And if I were in a different life where I didn't have to keep playing 15 to 20 new games a month, I can see this being a lot more attractive, because I would want to come back and play with those systems and slowly unlock things and have our game have a history. That's really neat. That's probably the big thing that sets Trek 12 apart. And that's neat, but it just doesn't work for me and Jen, which is why it comes in at number 15. Then we move on to number 14 of the month. Dungeons, Dice, and Danger. How did I get so many games played this month, especially when we were on the road so long? Hey, you know what? Roll and Rights are great games to take on an RV trip to Alaska, as it happens. Although in this case, we actually played with a fan of the show named Andrew. We had a bunch of time to kill between returning our RV and getting to the airport. So Andrew reached out and said, well, hey, if you got nothing better to do in Anchorage, I'll play some games with you. And so we went to his house, and one of the games we played was Dungeons, Dice, Danger, which is a roll and write from Richard Garfield. That's right, Mr. Magic the Gathering. I'm one of the most influential designs in history, and with good reason. So I am always interested when Richard Garfield does something new and different. And for him, a roll and write is a very, very cool new thing. And this is a fun game. It is quasi-bingo style in that every round, there's a lead player who rolls 5 dice, 4 of them white, 1 of them black. And everybody has to make 2 numbers out of that by adding. So like if you rolled a 1, 3, 3, and a 4, that means you could have a 7 and a 4. Or a 6 and a 5. I might have those numbers wrong. I don't even remember what numbers I just said, but you get the idea. You have to combine, each player figures out, how am I going to combine 2 of these dice to get 2 numbers? And then I look on the map that we're exploring for rooms that have that number, and I fill them in. But I have to be expanding from rooms I've previously been to. So a big part of this game is trying to keep your options open, because you can be exploring multiple different caverns at once. And so if you're in a situation where, hey, where I'm at right now, I could use an 11, or I could use an 8, or I could use a 3, then that means when I'm trying to figure out the pairs, I probably want to make one that has an 11 or an 8 or a 3. And so that is a fun system. And then the actual spelunking, the dungeon exploring, is very nice. The game comes with 4 different maps. They all have unique monsters and special rules for them that gives a fair bit of variety. The presentation is fantastic. Oh, and I forgot, the one other thing. Whoever rolled the die, there was also a black die. If they want to, they could ignore one of the 3 white dice and use the black die to make their pairs. So they have a little bit more control, a little bit more flexibility than everybody else. And that keeps going around, from turn to turn. So it's sharp. We very much enjoyed it. Enjoyed playing it with Andrew. My only problem with it is it's a little long. It is a fairly light game. I mean, it's not to say there aren't some interesting, tough decisions, but it is a pretty simple, straightforward game. And I mean, the rules officially say it's a 45 minutes, a 60-minute long game, and that sounds about right. But this really feels like it should be more like a 20 to 30-minute game, or 40 minutes at the most. And now, I should say, by the way, folks, in case you seek this out, please understand, there's got to be one of the worst rulebook typos in board game history, because it makes you believe that one player has to personally defeat every single monster in the dungeon to win. That's not wrong. That's wrong. It's a community. Once all the monsters have been defeated communally by everybody. Hey, I beat one, you beat two, Bob beat three over there. Oh, all six are beaten. It's over. But even when played correctly, we just felt it was a little bit too long. And I kind of wish there was a variant, an express variant that says, well, hey, if there's 7 monsters on the thing, the game is over once 5 of the 7 monsters been. And I think that'd be more interesting too. Because it can happen that, oh, well, hey, we're all just waiting for you to finish that last monster. Nobody else can beat you on it. We've all got a long ways to go, so you're just waiting for you to get the numbers you need to do it. If it ended a little bit sooner, I mean, I think that would kind of ratchet up the in-game tension, because can I actually get this thing done? If we're not going to do every single monster, and you and I are both down to the final 2 monsters, we're racing with each other, because only one of those 2 monsters will be beaten. I think something like that could have really elevated quite a bit. Although, look at me, questioning Richard Garfield, the creator of Magic the Gathering and Robo Rally and King of Tokyo. I'm just some schlub with a camera. Although, I did design video games for 20 years. But anyway, we still enjoyed it, but with a little bit of tweaking, I think this could have come into our top 10 of the month. But as it is, Dungeons, Dice, and Danger comes in at number 14. Then we move on to number 13, Tokaido Duo, which is very, very cool. This is the latest design from Antoine Bauza. And famously, Antoine Bauza, well, he designed one of the greatest card games of all time, Seven Wonders. I'm a big fan of it. And many years later, he made Seven Wonders Duel, which is so good it's in the top 20 games of all time on Board Game Geek. Yeah, because he did such an amazing job crunching down this big, ambitious card game into a fast little 2-player duel. Cut 2 years. Meanwhile, along the way, he had also designed Tokaido, which is really, I think, one of the best entry-level gateway-style board games that are out there. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it has a wonderful deluxe edition, and honestly, I don't think Tokaido works very well as a 2-player game. Well, cut to 2022, and Antoine Bauza, fresh off the success of Seven Wonders Duel, says, hey, I'm going to turn Tokaido into a 2-player only game. And that's what gives us Tokaido Duo, which is fantastic. Like Seven Wonders Duel before it, it's not a carbon copy. It's kind of like inspired. It has the same feel, the same presentation, but really new and interesting gameplay. And this game is a dice drafting game where you and I, because it's a 2-player only game, are constantly in a battle of wits over if I'm the lead player, I'm going to get 2 of the dice, you're going to get 1 of the dice. And these dice let us move our merchant, our pilgrim, or our artist on the board. And it's really like each one of those 3 different characters is playing a completely different game that scores points in different ways. And even though they all exist in the same space, it's almost like there's 3 different boards. It's really clever how the whole thing comes together. You can watch my run through to get a sense for yourself. And I was really impressed. Jen and I both think it's a brilliant design. And at this point, I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't know this will ever quite, get to the same lofty levels as Seven Wonders Duel, because that's a really heavy, crunchy game, whereas this is still a very, very lightweight, wonderful gateway game. But I'm going to say this is one of the best 2-player only gateway games in the industry now. It's so simple, it's so clean, it's so fast playing, the decisions are tension-filled, there's depth to it, and the only reason it didn't come in higher for us, because I respect the heck out of this design, but at the end of the day, it is still a gateway-style game. And Jen and I are generally looking for something a little bit heavier than this. So, I would happily play it with anybody, and I would certainly play it over Tokaido any day of the week. But, for me and Jen, we're looking for heavier games, as you'll see later on in this list. So, Tokaido Duo, which was, oh, by the way, it was a sponsored preview, because it's not going to hit retail. It's not going to Kickstarter. It's going directly to retail probably around October or November of this year. So you can look forward to it there, and you can check out my run through in the meantime, and it's really sharp. Number 13, Tokaido Duo. But then let's move on to number 12. And now this is a big bad boy. It's Terra Mystica, the Automa box, which I was super duper stoked not to be able to play Terra Mystica, which is, again, one of the highest ranked board games of all time on Board Game Geek. Is it in the top 10? Or is it also in the top 20? I don't remember exactly where, but with good reason. Terra Mystica is a brilliant, heavy Euro of fantasy area majority, as you are Wow, balancing so many plates, so many spinning plates that you're constantly having to deal with. I've done a run through for Terra Mystica many years ago. I mean, it's a fairly well-known game, and why I was interested in this is not to be able to play Terra Mystica solo. Although, as I demoed in my run through, this is a great solo option. It makes Terra Mystica really fun as a solo game because it was developed by Morten Monrad Peterson and his cohorts at Automa Factory, who are the best in the industry at coming up with solo versions of games. So I think it's a great solo mode. If you want to play this, you take on one of the fantasy races with your special powers trying to grab land. The Automa will take on a special one that comes in the Automa box. The game actually comes with several to choose from that have different powers and whatnot. That's all very cool. And then have a great time. But here's why I was excited about this. Because the Automa system works perfectly well to insert into a 2 or a 3 player game. To make a 2-player game feel like a 3 or a 3-player game to feel like a 4. And that's hugely important because Terra Mystica, one of its greatest strengths is the interdependency between players. Because you simultaneously want to build next to your opponents because you can get discounts on building some of the most important buildings. But you don't want to build next to them because every time you build next to them, they get the equivalent of magic power that they can use on their turn. So there's always this really interesting balancing act as you're terraforming the land to be able to expand your dominion and either stay away from people or snuggle up close to them. And originally as a 2-player game, Terra Mystica just didn't sing. The board was too big, and so what made the game special just didn't fit. But I can confirm the Automa really works. And as a 2-player game with the Automa, it is so much more rich and meaningful. And I highly recommend it. Now, it still comes in at 12 because this is still Terra Mystica. And I think Terra Mystica, I was talking a bit ago about how we like heavier fare. Terra Mystica is maybe a little bit heavier than we are comfortable with. Because, I mean, it's such a deep, crunchy game. So strategic. Really, I think the only danger about this is for people who love Terra Mystica because of the complete and total lack of randomness. Everything is public information. There's random setup, and then you just figure out how to best. The Automa player is a random element that gets added. So for some people might have a problem with it. But it is designed in such a way that you can really make informed decisions about what the Automa is likely to do. In much the same way you can do that with human players too. I think it's brilliant. We've gone from a little too light to just a little bit too heavy, which is why we're still at number 12 for Terra Mystica, the Automa box. Oh my gosh, I'm so thirsty. I'm going to stop for a second. Oh, geez Louise. That was dry. Everybody doing okay in there? I haven't heard any hey listens, so I guess we're doing fine. That is good. Right. Oh, good. And I see people are asking questions with the question marks. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm in the zone. I want to keep going, but oh man, when I do this not live, I have this button on my little keyboard mapped as pause. And so I can just pause. If you watch any video I do on the channel, if you watch a little picture of me over in the corner, you'll see me just like, popping because, hey, I paused. If you're listening to me and only watching the video, you would never even know. So I'm going to have to manually edit this out, but I was so thirsty. I just could not keep going. Alrighty. Let's see. Oh, I do see Kabuki Kid just points out. Yes, I did. I'm trying a new layout for the screen. It used to be that I'm a little picture in the corner, and the whole screen is the game I'm talking about. But the problem I've had with that is in a video like this, where I'm switching back and forth between videos of that I've done a run through for and other games where I'm just looking at pictures on Board Game Geek. It drove me nuts that I was using pictures on Board Game Geek without giving credit to the person who took those pictures. So, if you look, so you can see, this was put up by Marcel. You can't see it because of the little reminder, but in the final version, those little progress reminders aren't there. So you can see that, oh, this was a picture taken by Marcel. So the people who took these pictures are getting credit. So I wanted to do a new layout, and this was the best way I could do it. To say, hey, I'm more full screen, and this works really well for the Board Game Geek picture since I had so many Board Game Geek picture ones to show today. And then that means, where was I? I was on Terra Mystica, right? Terra Mystica. And that means, I've just tried to get this centered on the screen. Plus, I don't mind showing off to the world that, hey, pay for YouTube Premium. It's worth it. I do, and because I know every video I watch gets a much bigger piece of gets a much bigger little sliver of money if I watch it as a premium user than if I just watched it and skipped through the ads. Plus, I never have to watch ads. Plus, I can listen to YouTube on my phone with my phone being screen off. And there's a lot of reasons to do it, but I didn't mind also reminding, hey everybody, Rahdo pays for YouTube Premium. Maybe you should as well. But not that there's any pressure. So anyway, this is a new layout. And when I was doing the layout last night and the text was still just at the bottom of the screen, I thought, or in the center of the whole screen, I thought that looks really weird. So I decided to recenter it over there. It's actually interesting if you watch, see how it moves, bloop, it goes back to the center like it normally is. And so it's only on this scene that I've moved it over there to the right. Sorry, that was a little inside baseball. I said I wasn't going to do that, but you caught me with a question. So anyway, I got to get back to it. So I was just right. So I'm sure I just said that was Terra Mystica. And now I'm going to move on to number 11. After one more drink. This guilt trip brought to you by YouTube Premium. Okay. Yes, Goblin, I know. I've seen the cameras glitching. I bought some very, very high quality cameras. They glitched too. So it's the frickin' computer at this point. I've removed everything else. This computer, you know what I can do to help minimize the glitching? I should be closing these tabs as I go. Because these tabs, I mean, it is literally, because what I've found is, the glitching starts going like crazy if I do anything like copying one file to another in the background while I'm looking. The glitching just starts going insane. So I assume it's read-write errors or something like that, and the computer just can't quite handle it. And so I'm trying to do less. Before I start, I go into Task Manager and I force the OBS executable to have real-time priority instead of medium priority. That seems like it's helped. But in a case like this, where I've literally got 18 tabs open and most of them have YouTube videos that are queued up waiting to go, that's sucking up a lot of resources, I guess, and it ups the chances. So thanks for reminding me. I'm just closing these, and hopefully we'll have no more glitches. Because ever since I've been just trying to run really spare, and I don't know, there are IT professionals. Is there any reason not to make an executable have real-time priority in Task Manager on a PC? I don't know. We can talk about that afterwards, because I really got to get back to it. All right, after one more sippy sip. Okay, remember, folks, questions with the question mark. And and moving right along, folks, coming up next, we've got number 11, Explorers, which is a wonderful design from Phil Walker Harding. And remember I said we did that road trip in Alaska, right? This is the game we played more than any other. Well, I must have played this game a half a dozen times with the niece and the nephew, with the sister-in-law, with the wife, and every time it was a great, fun, fast playing, not roll and right, flip and right, where we are frantically trying to explore a randomly generated world. Everybody has the same layout of 4 tiles, and every round what happens is there is an explore tile revealed, and whoever's the lead player says, hey, I want to explore, say, in desert or in water, because those are the 2 things that are on the explore tile. And what that means is whichever one they choose, whoever the lead player is, they get to mark off 3 spaces, let's say in water. And maybe that's going to get them some fish or get them closer to an island they're trying to reach or whatever it might be. And they don't have to do it all in one place. They could they could be exploring in lots of different directions all at once. Now, what that means is every other player around the table then has a tough choice. You might say, well, okay, it was water or desert. If I want to explore in water too, because the lead player chose it, I have to do a lesser one. I can only write 2 squares. And that's no good, because that's not going to get me where I need to go. So really, for peak efficiency, I should do the other option, the desert, that the lead player didn't choose. But wouldn't you know, I don't have any good deserts to explore. It'd be a waste of my time to explore desert. So, do I do a triple explore in desert, which maybe don't help now, but maybe will set me up for something later? Or do I say, well, okay, I'll do a crappy water explore. And every time a new round comes around, and whoever is the lead player is like, oh, well, I could do mountain or grasslands. Which one am I going to do? I'll do... Everybody around the table was like, oh, please do grasslands, please do or, oh, please do mountains. Because everybody has a vested interest in whatever choice you're making. And he was like, yes! Oh, you chose mountains. Thank heavens, that means I've got the 3 on the grasslands I needed to be able to reach that that pumpkin or whatever it might be. Oh, that's gonna fix everything for me. Or no, why did you pick that? And it's fun start to finish. Plus, the game has a fair bit of variability because there are these 3 extra little tiles that define how scoring works. And as part of setup, you can flip each of them, so each of them has 2 different sides. So you have a fair bit of variety. Plus the randomly generated world. It's really nice. Jen liked it a lot. This rated very high for her in her monthly Jen Jog video. She did. I like it too, but I'll be honest. As much fun as it was, and it's a really great portable game, great for taking on the road, it's not as good as Guild of Merchant Explorers. If I had not earlier this year played Guild of Merchant Explorers, I would just be super gaga for this because it's the next best thing. But Guild of Merchant Explorers is probably one of my best games of the year. So Explorers is great too. It does a lot with a very, very tiny footprint. I very much respect the design by Phil Walker Harding, and I do think, it's probably going to be a keeper for us. Even though most of the time I'd probably rather play Guild of Merchant Explorers, but I mean Guild of Merchant Explorers is a big box. It takes up a lot of space. This plays fast, and it's fun from start to finish. Explorers, number 11. Okay, then we move on to number 10, Kites. Oh my goodness. This is a real-time cooperative game where players are playing cards as fast as they can that represent different kites, and we're playing them as fast as possible to keep the kites in the air. Because when I play, say, a kite, a card that has a purple and a yellow kite on it, that means I have to flip the purple and the yellow sand timer that represents how long the purple and the yellow kite will stay in the air. And each one of the red kite is the dangerous one. That's the one that will only stay up in the air for 30 seconds. It's a 30-second sand timer. The purple is the slow one. It's easy to fly. It'll stay up for a minute and a half. And the game is so challenging because you must wait your turn. And often you'll find yourself, okay, don't play anything. If I just wait a little bit longer, then if I flip this right now, we'll have to flip it again almost immediately. But this is the card I need to play. And so it's a literal, you are juggling, or I guess figuratively, sorry, I understand literal. You're figuratively juggling these, communally, these sand timers that represent these different cards. And the key to success in this game is communication. You have to be constantly saying, okay, go, do anything. I need to flip that red now. It's the only thing I can do. And so there's a lot of that. Jen and I, we actually played this in our monthly Rahdo Rest and Relax video, which is a Patreon and member exclusive. And if you watch us play it, we were not relaxed at all. We actually played 3 games back to back. We got better with each one. And I think it's an absolutely brilliant design. It's up there with Fuse, which is, one of the better co-op games that have come out over the last decade. And I think we were really impressed by this. It's super challenging, and that's without turning on, there's like special event cards you can do, like stormy weather and low flying planes that will mess with your kites. But Jen found it a little frustrating, quite frankly, but she appreciated the fact that it really forces you to put your brain in a different mode, in a communicative mode. Only way you can win this game is, it's tough to do, just to be thinking about, okay, this is what I want to do in 2 turns. This is what I need to do next. This is what I can handle that. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. And everybody needs to be talking to be able to have a chance of success. And it's a quick game too, especially if you lose as fast as we did. But even if you get a win, it's a wonderful filler, great for different player counts, a lot of variety, just a brilliant design. I am very, very impressed with number 10 of the month, Kites. Okay, then we move on to number 9, Wormholes, which is a pretty big deal for me that this goes into the number 9 slot, because this game is pure pick up and deliver gold. And if you love pick up and deliver, you owe it to yourself to check this game out. It is all about flying from one planet in the galaxy, picking up some goods, and then carrying them to another planet that wants those goods. And honestly, pick up and deliver is one of Jen's and my least favorite mechanisms. We generally find it so slow and humdrum. And to be honest, this game starts out fairly slow and humdrum too, because at the beginning, your ships can only move very, very slowly. It takes a long time to fly from one planet to pick up the stuff that you then want to take to another planet while avoiding asteroid belts and stuff like that. But the important thing, it's in the title, folks. This is called wormholes. Pretty much anytime you want, you can drop these little numbered discs where you are or adjacent to where you are, and that creates one half of a wormhole, which is an instant way to travel from one location to another. And the thing is, the more you create, once you have very slowly worked your way out to Alpha Centauri or whatever, and you put your second number 2 wormhole out there, now you've got an express train right back to the home sector, and you can be jumping back and forth really quick. But so can everyone else. Over the course of the game, as all players are putting more and more wormholes on the table, the game goes from a very slow, at the beginning it's a little plodding, I'll be honest, but it starts speeding up very quickly as you start trying to puzzle out, right, well, okay, if I use my wormhole to get there, then I only have to move one space, and on the next turn I can get to your wormhole, which will get me to that, which will then get me to Jen's wormhole, which will then get me to the plan I need. And I could literally go from one side of the board to the other in like 3 steps. But the thing is, every time I use your wormholes, you benefit. So I don't want to use your wormholes. So maybe after I jump through your wormhole, I put my own wormhole right next to it. So in the future, I'll use my own. Although there are some rules about, placing wormholes with certain adjacency and stuff like that next to planets that you have to bear in mind. But the thing is, it starts out simple, but it gets puzzly and crunchy as the board evolves right in front of you, and you just get these more and more interesting, complex shipping lanes all over the place, and it really starts to blossom. And towards the end of the game, everything is going at hyperspeed as everybody is racing to get that one last delivery done. And I gotta say, the design is freaking brilliant. And that's no surprise because it's from the designer of Tiny Towns, which is in my top 50 games of all time. And so I fully expected this to be great. But the question was, would it work for us to overcome our distaste for pick up and deliver? I'll be honest, we liked it a lot. My only complaint, the only thing that keeps it from being higher is I think this game is going to do much better at a higher player count. Because as a 2-player game, that slow start, it's a little slow, a little bit longer because there's only 2 people putting wormholes out. If there were 4 people putting wormholes out right from the get-go, you get to the good stuff that much faster. And you get that many more interesting, oh, well, I could jump to yours, to yours, to yours, or, oh, I can use mine for 2 of the 3. It still works. It works very, very well as a 2-player game. I would recommend it as a 2-player game for fans of Pick Up and Deliver. I would love to play this. I would rate it very highly at higher player counts where there's more wormholes networks being generated faster. As a 2-player game, it was good. We definitely enjoyed it, which is why I'm saying putting it at the number 9 slot, for me, that's high praise for wormholes. Then we go on to number 8, Shoes Tactics, which is a game I did a sponsored preview for because it's on Kickstarter. I think it's still on Kickstarter right this very second, or for a little bit longer anyway. And it's interesting. When they first contacted me, I said, I don't know if I want to cover it because they were touting Shoes Tactics as a solo-only roll-and-write game that retells the what's it called? The Three Kingdoms, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms period of ancient China, which I know for a lot of people is a very exciting time, and I love roll and writes, and I looked at the rules and I thought, wow, this looks really sharp. It's a very, very clever way that they kind of meld rolling and writing with flipping and writing, because you roll dice to get access to virtual cards. And each card is multi-use. The card can, every turn, you're gonna, 3 cards are going to be selected by the die roll. 2 of those cards you'll use the top power. 1 of them you'll use the bottom power. Oh, makes me feel like I've got a little Gloomhaven going on there. Love that. And all these cards are either to get resources or to spend resources to build up the forces you need to deploy to the battlefield to stop the rebellion, basically. And those are polyominoes. You're filling things up. You're creating bonuses. This game is combo-tastic. It goes toe-to-toe with Gone Shown Clever in terms of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, boom, combo-type moves. So it's really nicely done. So my only problem with it was, why is this solo only? I took a chance. I went ahead and said, sure, I'll cover it anyway, because I say no to 9 out of every 10 games that people ask me to cover. And I thought, I think I'll try it solo, even though solo is not my jam. But what I found is, I would print out a sheet for Gen 2, and it played great as a bingo-style game. There is no reason to think of this as a solo game. Because, yeah, we're competing for highest score. Jen and I played together. It worked wonderfully. And so I talked about that in my final thoughts, that don't be fooled, folks. This is a great bingo game. If you want to make it really great, I made some suggestions. The designer took those on board and has now developed a full co-op version of the game too, which I've got the rules for, and it sounds brilliant. So, it was always going to be a cool little solo roll and write. And the interesting thing is, this is a print and play campaign. So over time, much like Voyages, a game I covered a while ago, if you back this over time, you'll be getting additional maps as the game grows and evolves and it goes through the epic story. And there's actually narrative elements in the game too, like, hey, do you want to help this person or hurt them? But when certain events happen and stuff like that. So there's a lot going on. It's a sharp roll and write, and contrary to early reports, it's a great multiplayer game, and I suspect, I haven't tried it yet, but I suspect it's also a great cooperative game. So, I am still rating it. I haven't gotten to play the co-op. If I played the co-op before I had to film this, I might have bumped it up a few more notches. I'm still very excited about, though, my number 8 of the month, Shoes Tactics. Okay, then let's go on to number 7. Dead Reckoning, which is a game that I passed on when it was on Kickstarter and they asked me to cover it, whatever it was, a couple of years ago, because it's a 4X game of high seas piracy, driven by designer John D. Clare's brilliant card crafting system. Jen, I love card crafting, but we hate 4X. We like the explore, the expand, the exploit, and we hate the exterminate. And the original design for Dead Reckoning has a lot of player versus player stuff built in, with a really cool cube tower combat resolution system. It's got a lot of really, really neat things to it. But I passed. And then, after the campaign was over, I found out, oh, they have solo and co-op mode. I'm like, what the heck? I would have totally covered it. So it took forever, but I finally got a copy. And Jen and I sat down and we had an epic 3-hour game. It was our first attempt. So, and we loved it. We both thought it was fantastic. I think this was Jen's second highest ranked game of the month, and for me, it's coming in at number 7. We both rate it very highly. And that's saying something, folks, because we're at a point in our lives where we just do not have time for epic 3-hour games. Although, the next time we play it, I'm sure we'll get it down to 2 hours because we've got the basic flow down and all of that. Learn the overall structure. But I don't know if we'd ever get it much lower than an hour 90. We're probably 2 hours. That's okay though, because it's so good. Working as a co-op game, and I assume as a solo, which I haven't tried, we were so engrossed. Even though it was 3 hours, it's like the time just dissolved. It disappeared. We were done. We're like, oh my God, was that 3 hours? I had no idea, because we were so engrossed with the card crafting, the exploration, the discovery, fighting the AI ships rather than fighting each other, working together, trying to coordinate. Okay, if you can get over to that island, I need to get to you so that I can give you these resources that you would have to go all the way back to the home port for. Stay out longer. Because there's this really nice ebb and flow. You can only carry so much on your ship before you eventually have to go all the way back to harbor. And so there's a lot of sailing out and then sailing back. But in the co-op game where we could work together, I could generate things on my islands that you could use that really changes up the feel of the game. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. Really, really impressed with number 7 of the month, Dead Reckoning. And I can see why so many people were so excited about it. Good stuff. But we're not done yet, folks. Let's move on to number 6, Sky Mines. And now this is a game that's been a long time coming, because many, many years ago, designer Alexander Fisher, my number 2 designer of all time, designed Mombasa, which is a brilliant mid to heavyweightish Euro all about the colonization and subjugation of Africa. And most people agree, wow, the gameplay design of this game is bonkers brilliant. And we don't want to play this game because we do not want to be doing, basically committing atrocities against mankind. It was just, so there's this huge disconnect between how great the gameplay was and how, for some people, not everybody, and I don't mean to shame anybody here. I mean, I will admit, I've evolved on this. At one point, I wasn't that bothered by it either, but I'm certainly bothered by it now, as I have spent more time really thinking long and hard about what board games can be. For a guy who's all about the theme in Euros, for me to just kind of ignore the theme of Mombasa, that was my mistake. And I'm long story short, I am so happy, and you can go watch my run through of it, that Mombasa has been re-released with a new retheme called Sky Mines. We are not exploiting Africa anymore. We're exploiting the moon, or the Kuiper asteroid belt, and because it's a two-sided board, and the original gameplay of Mombasa is still here. One of the most brilliant card hand management systems where you have 3 dynamic discard piles that you're trying to juggle at the same time. That may sound weird. Watch my run through to see why it's so cool, because it's absolutely brilliant. And you're also spending a lot of time, trying to balance investing in different mining companies that you will get more points out of than other players, or if other players invest in a given mining company, well, maybe I should invest in it too because you've put them on the top, and I want to kind of undercut the points you get. I have to admit, the stock manipulation, the ownership stuff, that's the least interesting element of the game to me. The hand management for the cards is absolutely brilliant, and it's a wonderful, fun game with now a wonderful, fun theme. And so I have to doff my cap to Alexander Pfister and all the developers who listened to people who expressed, who weren't, calling for, banning or canceling, who were just saying, boy, we would just enjoy this game so much more if it could be focusing more on this instead of that. And why not make a game that can bring more people into the hobby? That's what they've done now with a brilliant re-envisioning and also upgrade too. There's a lot of really cool extra new features that also, as far as I'm concerned, make this better than Mombasa for lower player counts. I talk about all this in my final thoughts. It's a really brilliantly designed system called Luna, and you can check it all out in my run-through of number 6 of the month, Sky Mines. Okay, then let's talk about number 5, Dinosaur Roar and Write. Okay, this is another roll and write, which means it's another game that we took on the road when we were in Alaska, and this one was by far the heaviest game we played up there. This is a really crunchy game. Do not go into this game thinking it's a really, really lightweight roll and write, like like a Gone Shown Clever pick one. This game really feels like it goes toe-to-toe with its predecessor, Dinosaur Island, and I assume it's follow-ups, its successor, Dinosaur World. At the heart of the game, we are trying, through roll and write mechanisms, to develop the best Jurassic Park-esque dinosaur park and attract all kinds of customers who will come and give us victory points. And a big part of the game is actually building the polyomino pieces. And one of the things I gotta say I really appreciate about this, most of the time when you're playing a polyomino style game, whether it's a roll and write or just with one of the tiles, you're always trying to squeeze them in as tight as possible, like a jigsaw puzzle. You can't do that here. It's not a good idea to put a carnivore pen right next to an herbivore pen. You need to put some space between your dinos, which makes it a much more interesting polyomino style game, because you have to keep everything separated, which means not only are you developing the dinosaur replication DNA technology, which is a big part of the game, kind of a set collection, different strands of DNA to make certain types of dinosaurs. Not only are you investing to build the pens, but you're also having to invest in the infrastructure to make connecting roads for them as well, which really elevates this above regular polyomino tiling. It's just a lot more interesting in how you use space. And then also, you might think, oh, roll and write, you just roll some dice, you do whatever they say. No. This game, every round has 3 big, heavy phases. The first one, you roll a bunch of these gorgeous amber-colored dice that, obviously recall Jurassic Park with the mosquito, trapped in amber. And there's going to be a draft, a snake draft, where everybody's going to get some dice. And then they are going to use those dice in the second phase, which is a worker placement game. And then, after you've done all the dice drafting and all the worker placement, then you take all the stuff you got and you actually start building your dino park. And then every once in a while, when a certain threshold is passed, we open the doors and hopefully nobody gets eaten. I think it's great. It is so far above Dino Island. I mean, it is such a big step up in terms of depth and interesting gameplay. We were really, really impressed by this. And it's definitely a keeper. I don't think it's the heaviest roll and write of all time. I mean, soon that's going to be Twilight Inscription. But for now, I think the heaviest is still, what is it? Merchants of Pandora. but this is in the running for number 2. So if you're like Roll and Rights, but you're looking for a big, heavy beast of a game with a lot of stuff going on, you might want to check out number 5 of the month, Dinosaur Island. Roar! Not roll, roar! And right. Okay, then let's go to number 4. Oh my goodness, Sunshine City. I think this was Jen's game of the month, if I recall correctly from recording the Jen Jog with her last week. She loved this game so much. Bear in mind, this was another paid preview I did for a game that is on Kickstarter as another one of these print and play campaigns, where if you back it for an incredibly small amount of money, you get PDFs or bitmaps of player sheets that you can print out at home. And then you could laminate them, or you could, I talk about different ways to get longevity out of them in my run through. And actually, I show the coolest accessory ever if you're a roll and write print and play fan like I now am, because Sunshine City is amazing. It is a triple rondel game. Every round you're going to roll 2 dice, and this is bingo style. So the 2 dice are rolled. Everybody looks at the 2 dice. The lower value die, they move one of their rondel pips that many spaces clockwise around the rondel and activate that city zone they're in, which will generate glass or lumber or votes, for political capital, or just money, which is a wild card. And then after you've moved one of your pips, because you have 3, you have a builder, an inventor, and a lobbyist. So if I rolled a 3 and a 5, I move the lobbyist 3 because, hey, they landed in a place where they get a lot of cash. That's perfect. That's going to be good use for them. Then I have to move one of my other 2 meeples, or whatever you want to use, cubes. I use Jen's glass googlies from her gamer glass supply. You use the other one, 5 in this case. And that means you activate a different building. And every round, that sounds so simple. But this is another one of those wonderful Gone Shown-esque clever games of exploding combinatorial stuff. You spend a few turns building things up, getting the resources you need to build buildings that will increase your goods production, or making inventions that will unlock special powers, or getting political favors that will unlock one-time super mega powers. And very quickly, everybody's going in different directions, trying their best to, and I love the subject matter, trying to make the best Sunshine City. The winner, or the game triggered when somebody makes their 7th solar power plant, which means you're trying to do a lot of stuff to make those things built. And so I love the theme, I love the message, but more than anything, I love the gameplay. And I also love that the developers are also, like some other games of this genre, if you buy it for the low price, you'll be able to get a bunch of different maps, and they plan on releasing more. They are also planning on releasing an app you can download that will make randomly generated cities. So that is so cool. I cannot wait to see how that works. So I am very impressed. Like I said, for Jen, I think it was her number 1 of the month. For me, it is number 4. Spoiler alert for folks who actually watch the Jen Dogs. It might not be. There might have been another one that she rated even higher. I don't remember for sure. But anyway, Sunshine City is fantastic. All right. Then we go on to number 3, getting to the best of the best. How about Terracotta Army, the latest from publisher Board and Dice. This is a wonderful game where players are racing to make the famous Terracotta Army. And it's a worker placement game at heart, because up in the top left corner of the screen, there's 3 nested circles. And those circles create a bunch of worker placement spots where if I place my worker in this southwest corner, I will activate an action from the center circle, the middle circle, and the outer circle. So every time you place a worker, you're doing 3 actions, and you're ideally trying to do actions that combo well together. And well, how can you do that? Because the circles spin. On your turn, if you want, you can spend a little bit of cash, although cash is tight in this game, to make the middle, or the top wheel spin, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And that reprograms the worker placement spot where you want to send your worker. But it also reprograms every other worker placement spot around the rondel, which directly affects every other player. And it's absolutely brilliant. We found it to be so much fun. Although, I will warn you, it's also can be incredibly analysis paralysis inducing. So if that wasn't a problem for us, because it's just me and Jen, but if you play with a bunch of people who tend to hem and haw a lot, it could be a long time before you get your turn again. That would really be my only complaint, but it's kind of baked into the game. There's no getting around it. It is a wonderfully rich and dynamic worker placement game that is so much fun to play. Now, there's the other half of the game too, which is kind of like an area majority thing in the mausoleum, because every statue you build, and you can build regular statues, you can upgrade them, you can do all kinds of fun stuff, but we are being rated for the end game based on all kinds of getting majorities in rows and columns and areas. You can see right from the get-go, as part of setup, 5 things that you will be judged on are chosen randomly. And so you know, what do I want to do in round 1? What do I want to do in round 5? And you can be planning for the end of the game right from the get-go, which can also accentuate the analysis paralysis. Don't get me wrong, but both Jen and I were really impressed. And especially because area majority, area control stuff is usually kind of a sticky wicket for me and Jen. As Care Bears, we generally tend not to like to take space from each other. But in this game, the area majority is 100% just about trying to get points. And so me stopping you from scoring 5 points because I moved in is really just the same as me scoring 5 points. It's not like I stole resources. It's not like I destroyed an engine for you. So we were even comfortable with that. It's a really brilliant design. Highly recommended. Number 3 of the month, Terracotta Army. Then we go on to the second best game. Oh my goodness. Sagrada with the new Glory expansion, which is fantastic. Sagrada was always a wonderful, beautiful, colorful dice drafting game where players are racing to try to complete a bunch of different objectives using special powers or saving their favors for points. And I'm always dealing with this fiendishly tension-filled and challenging puzzle of how can I get the right color and the right number dice to build my perfect stained glass window for the Sagrada Familia. We always thought the original game was great, but the original game was maybe a little bit too lightweight for us. But then when you start adding the expansions, this is the third one. There was Life and Passion, and now we have Glory, and I think this one might be the best because the new elements it adds are so good. The Strife dice, where there's a new color of die that has problems. You can take them, they can help you, but they have every time you play, a different restriction placed on them that makes them tough to work with. But even more importantly, there's new types of objective cards where we're racing to complete them, or other cards where we have as secret objectives, and if we get them at the beginning of the game and we choose to keep them, they're kind of Ticket to Ride style. Hey, if you don't complete this objective by the end of the game, you'll lose those points instead of gain them. And so these extra elements put so much more wonderful tension and excitement and drama and make the drafting so much more exciting. It is absolutely fantastic. It's the best Sagrada has ever been, which is why it comes in at number 2, Sagrada with the Glory expansion. But folks, we have a number 1 as well, and it's again because of an expansion, Red Cathedral, the Contractors. Now, Red Cathedral made my top 10 for, was it 2020, I think, or maybe it was 2021. Brilliant game. Dice rondel, where most turns, you're going to pick a die on the outskirts of the rondel, move it clockwise as ever many spaces it says on the pips of the die, and then activate the zone you landed on. But this is a multi-use rondel, where the zone you activate gathers some resources. That might be the reason you went there. Activates a guild. That might be the reason you work there. Or activates a special power that you've programmed into the die, if that's the reason you went there. And in a perfect world, you chose that die to activate all 3 of those bonuses. And when you can pull turns like that off, it's so satisfying. The core game is great. You can watch the run through I did back last year or whenever. And I already really loved it. My only complaint about the original game was that I was kind of bummed that the guild cards that go on the outskirts of the rondel, the game didn't come with very many. And so pretty quickly you'll see them kind of reappearing over and over again. So the Contractors solves that by bringing in a bajillion new guilds that are really huge game changers. My only complaint is, and it's very, very sad, every time you play, you can only choose 1 new guild. I want all new guilds all the time, but 3 of the 4 guilds will still be from the original game. 1 new guild will come in, and I'll be honest, 1 new guild coming in. If it's from the Jewelers Guild versus the Overseer Guild, whichever, just that 1 guild can so radically change the game, I'm happy with it. So that's why I wanted this expansion, because it fixed the one real shortcoming, more variety from the guilds, which again are one of the 3 elements whenever you're activating your what do you call it? The dice on the rondel. But that's not all, because they added a whole nother board to the game, this regional board. It gives you a new action you can do you couldn't do before, which is you can spend a new type of resource, permits, to send your contractors to different regions on this other board. And those will give you specialist tiles that are super powerful and will upgrade the new black die, which didn't exist in the original game. There's now a new 6th color die, and you have to get these specialist tiles to program that die, other than the workshops like the original game. And there's a whole area majority thing going on over there. So you're trying to send your contractors either to get a lot of the right types of specialists, or try to get into a region that's going to be strong for you at the end of the game. And it's like this whole other avenue to explore that you're trying to squeeze into all the other things you're trying to do in this very, very tight and tension-filled game. It was already fantastic. This is one of those expansions that in every way, shape, or form makes the game so much better, which is why, I mean, like I said, Red Cathedral was already in my top 10, but now for the year, I don't do top 10s based on expansions, but all I can say is it puts Red Cathedral with the Contrast expansion as the #1 best game that we played in the month of July. Oh my gosh. Phew. Okay, folks. That's it. Done. And oh my gosh, I have 15 minutes. That took a lot longer than I thought. It was 18 games. But I still have to film Crowd Sorcery, where I have to talk about 9 more games. Of course I do. And so, I'm not going to film the intro today, and I'm going to film the outro, because one of the things I've started doing with the outro is for people who support the show here on Twitch as a subscriber, or on YouTube as a member, or on Patreon as a patron. I've started at the end of the monthly roundup having one of those, credit lists where I say, oh, thank you to everybody on this list. You're all amazing. So I've got to go make that list, and I've got to record it separately because I haven't figured out a way to put it here in the system. So I'm going to have to film that separately. I'm going to have to film the intro where I throw to Shay and Kim and talk about everybody else's games. So that will come another day. But I think that went pretty well. Did that work for everybody? Let's see here. And as promised, I'll spend a little bit of time doing some Q&A, but then I got to get to the other topic. So right off the bat, I see Flashburn says, hope you like Akarios. It might be my favorite game ever. That doesn't surprise me. We have played it. It's fantastic. I'll be doing a run through for it in August. We'll see how it ranks in the August monthly roundup. But yeah, it is so good. Really. Both Jen and I were grinning ear to ear throughout our entire first play of it. Very impressed by that game. Okay, hey. I remember I was talking earlier about how I was trying not to overload the computer because I didn't have a lot of tabs open. I need to open a bunch of new tabs now for the other show. New tab. All right, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more games to talk about. Oh my goodness. And let me go on ahead and, right, so I've got the links for them over here. I could show you what I'm doing, but it's literally just copying and pasting links from an email I've got. And plus, I don't want to spoil the show for you, right? So, wait, let's see. While that's loading up, let me see if I can find another question. Boom. Oh my goodness, this is a lot of questions. All right. Let's see here. I'll answer the questions while I'm doing the work. So, Norbass, putting a theme aside, if you have Mombasa, would you recommend getting Sky Mines? If you literally don't care about the theme, so it's only about the gameplay. For me personally, as a 2-player gamer, if you want to play Mombasa at lower player counts or solo, dump Mombasa and get Sky Mines because it comes with a brilliant automata. It's called the Luna system. I briefly mentioned it. I talked about it in my final thoughts. But Mombasa, all the other things aside, I always thought was just kind of so-so as a 2-player game. Because it's a game where you're trying to invest in companies. And with only one other player manipulating the value of companies for us to invest in, a huge part of the game is just kind of just falls flat. But, plus there's kind of the, the area majority stuff too. With only 2 players, it worked, but it was never great. The Luna system that you can use to play solo, but you can also bring into a 2 or 3 player game is fantastic. It's incredibly easy to implement. It doesn't slow the game down at all, but it adds that extra zest that you would get from playing with more human players. And I do not believe it's something you could just easily say, oh, well, look, I'll just apply it to Mombasa. Maybe you can, If you wanted to like try to make your own deck of cards that duplicates it, maybe if you're a really, really crafty person. But I would suggest just getting Sky Mines instead. Plus, Sky Mines has a two-sided board. Mombasa only has one board, but the other board, the moon replicates the African continent. The other board, it completely changes the way expanding across the asteroid belt works, because you have to have shuttle ships. So like it makes for a different feeling game where the race is really different. Plus, it actually comes with a little 4-chapter story mode too. Now, again, if you don't care about the theme, you probably don't care about that. But if you care about the gameplay, lower player counts, Mombasa is wildly inferior to Sky Mines. Plus, Sky Mines just gives you more flexibility. It also comes with, it replicates some of the mini expansions that have come out from Mombasa over the year, if you can't find those little promos, and it adds some new stuff too. It adds player objectives, which Mombasa never had, and those really enhance the game too. There are just way too, and plus they do the objectives in a really cool way I hadn't seen done before. So there's no two ways about it. Sell your Mombasa to somebody online who's like, you can't take my colonization. You'll find plenty of takers for it, and then get yourself Sky Mines. As a gameplay experience, it's so much better. Okay, let's see here. Right. Asteroid side or moon side? I have played both sides. Moon side is more complicated, but it's also kind of faster. It zips along quicker. I would probably want to play Asteroid side. Because I feel like I'm more comfortable with Moon side, because it is kind of replicative of Mombasa, which I had played in the past. So at this point, but they're both great. They're just like, they're chocolate and peanut butter. Those are both great things. Which depends on which one you like more. Okay, do I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? I do. I have 9 Hoozy Maskoozys. Let's see. And, you know what? I didn't spend any time figuring out. Okay, I'm going to spoil my first one, folks, that we're going to talk about. Come back over to the browser. It's a supply chain. All right, so how big should I make this? Probably something like that. Like that. Let's see. It kind of puts or if I go like this and then no. If I go like that and then go like that. There we go. I'm just trying to get when I click the play video, I want that to kind of be in the center. I think that looks like a good size. So let me come back to me so you don't see all the other ones. So you can actually enjoy the show, the really big show. Bip. Bip. All right, so I'm just getting them all positioned correctly so that the nice big video is going to be kind of in the center. Although, actually, I wonder, do I want it up on the top? All right, I'm going to come back to the one you can see. All right, what does that look like again? Browser. Right, so having that Kickstarter word up there at the top, which you folks can't see. Let me hide the... That's not great. What if I just go a little bit higher? That looks a little better. I think that looks better. Yeah, that's what I want to do. I mean, I could go even higher. Should I go like that? Then you see more stuff down here. You see a little bit about that. But no, I kind of like it a little bit more, so I think something like that. That's going to work. All right, okay, cool. Back to now, readjusting all those pages again. The 9. Although it's not just 9, although it's mostly Kickstarters this month. I think I didn't find any game founds that are ending in the next 2 weeks that I felt were worth talking about. But I did find a backer kit game, so that's interesting. All right. Let's see. And I haven't actually even played this. What happens if I try to play this? All right. Yep, that works fine. Cool. Oh, I see. Okay. Do you ever actually? Yes, you do. That's fine. Yeah, let's go ahead and slow you down there, buddy. What a terrible intro video. It's all the time looking at art, none of the time actually looking at the game. Why do developers do that? All right, I can cue the video up at least. All right, I'm just going to assume... All right, actually, I should cue all these videos up to get to the actual good stuff. The game. I don't know. What is it about making Kickstarter videos that makes everybody think they're working for an animation studio? I mean, yeah, people like story, but they care more about the game. They're buying it for the game, not for the story. All right, so let me go on ahead and just cue all these. Make sure we skip past that stuff and get to the game. Oh, but and while I'm doing that, I can answer another question, can't I? That will give me a chance. Oh, and I have to turn the sound off for all these too, don't I? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. All right. Let's see. In Dead Reckoning is... And sorry, folks, I think I'm doing this in reverse order. Most recent question first. But I'll try to get through all these. But all right. In Dead Reckoning, is a dice tower cubes go straight through or a cube tower? It is a dice tower. Did I say cube tower? That was misleading. It's but it is a very very cool dice tower. But it's not a dice tower because you're not putting dice through. You are putting cubes through, but there's no obstruction. They don't get stuck on shelves like Shogun or something like that. That was an easy question. What's a tougher one that I can talk about for a while? Do you recommend backing the Dead Reckoning reprint for solo play only? All right, that'll give me a little bit of time to talk while I set all these other things up. I am not sure. I will be able to tell you that shortly because right now what I just talked about was Dead Reckoning. One of the reasons I have Dead Reckoning is because they also sent me a prototype for Letters of Mark, the new expansion that is going on Kickstarter. I have not played that yet. I will be playing it while Jen is gone. Because I said Jen's going to be gone to England. So I'm going to be playing that solo. And when I do a video for it, I'll be talking about that. I'll be talking about the solo expansion. At this point, I have only played it as a 2-player cooperative game, which is great. When I get to my actual sponsored video for it, I will be able to talk about the solo experience as well. But right now, that is... right. Oh, come on. Right, this video shows nothing of the game. Oh, come on. Just a guy sitting in a chair. And then some... Oh, why don't you show your game? You're trying to sell the game, not your backyard, developers. I mean, I appreciate they're trying to make a human touch out of it and all that. All right, so that video's useless. Fortunately, I think we've got a video, so maybe I just scroll down and show our video of it. Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I need to do. All right, so let's just cue that up. All right, fine. We'll go with that. All right. So, I'm sure that video is fine. Okay, while I'm still queuing up videos, let's go to the next question. Can you use Terra Mystica Automa to play 2 Automas? I don't believe so. I'm really kind of surprised. It feels like you could do it. Although you would go through... I mean, the Automa deck is fairly short. I don't know if there's enough Automa cards. Maybe if you literally had 2, if you replicated the Automa deck and you had a second one. But the problem is... Yeah, I guess you could. I think you could. Yeah, but again, I don't think the base game comes with enough cards, and you'd run through them so quick if you had 2 Automas running at the same time. But it might work. You'd be better off asking that question on Board Game Geek, I think, though. Because I'm sure somebody has tried it, and somebody has reported back got one. Okay. Isn't 2-player Tokaido the same as 2-player Seven Wonders? You share an opponent in the same way. What's the difference? The difference... Oh, that's a good question. I can talk about that for a while, as I can rant on that one. The beautiful thing about the 2-player mode of Seven Wonders is that it was a method that players can use via a third character that players share control over, can use in positive ways. Because the fundamental interaction between players in Seven Wonders, the original Seven Wonders, is, oh, you've got a thing, I can use your goods and you get resources for it as well from the supply. Or wait, was it from a supply or do we pay each other? I think maybe we pay each other. I'm kind of losing track now. It's been a few years since I played Seven Wonders. But still, the interaction between players in Seven Wonders was fundamentally positive. And the free city only enhanced that positive interactivity. Just gave you somebody else to play with positively. The interaction that was brought in via the dummy player in Tokaido was negative. The only function of it, that third ghost ship, was for me to try to move it into the place that ruins you the hardest. I get no benefit. It's not like I'm doing it for me. I'm only doing it to hurt you. And I always thought, in such a wonderful game about peace and tranquility and contemplation, that they should put in a thing that's one of the more cutthroat things I've seen. Because, I mean, you know, cutthroatness in most games, hey, yeah, I did a thing that hurt you, but it helped me too. So you were like kind of collateral damage. There's no collateral damage. It is literally tactical nuclear strikes in Tokaido, and I hate it. So that's the fundamental difference. Why one, I think, works great because of the fundamental nature of the game, and the other one, I don't know, Antoine Bauza likes punching people in Tokaido. Go figure. Right, so, all right, I'm still queuing stuff. All right, there's another game designer talking about his game and almost never showing his game in the video. Showing his face more than he shows the game. All right, I think this is another one where we covered it, so if I scroll down, I will find our video. And we will just use that. Alrighty, where are you? Somewhere down here on this epically long, there's going to be a list of videos. There it is. Hey, wait a minute. Is the Rahdo video not there? Gasp. That happens sometimes. I wonder why. DTT. Of course, I've still got a long ways to go. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise. Jeepers creepers. All right, I just might go to my YouTube channel and not even try to find it on here. This is... Oh, there it is. 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 Wait. Oh! There's the quote from it, but the video itself is not there? Aw. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. That's a bummer. It was a really good video. It was one that Shay did. It's really good. All right, well, fine. I'll just go to... what is it? All right. Can you guess which one I'm talking about, folks? That would be pretty impressive. All right, let's just come here. We'll have that queued up in YouTube form, which I know I'm happy with. There we go. Fine. So, all right, next question. Back to you folks. I'm working my way back to you. All right, Goblin has all the questions. All right. I said I didn't like the trick-taking in games like Claim because I'm trying to outwit the opponent. But in the podcast, you said you like the metagame of outwitting your opponents in games like Small World. That is true. That is true. I do not like doing that with Jen. Jen and I, we do not enjoy that with each other. Because she has no interest in doing that. So it feels kind of one-sided and kind of punching down a little bit for me to be spending all my time trying to do it. And Jen has no interest in doing it. But again, it's different. This game, I'm not trying to trick anybody. I'm trying to just figure out the best card to play. And if I win, then you lose. And it's a strict binary. Every time I win, you lose, and I'm doing better than you. And I feel bad every time I win in a trick-taking game. Because sorry, you just fell a little bit further behind. I know I should be exulting in my success, but my success comes directly as the result of your failure, and it just makes me feel crappy. Getting around the table with a bunch of people who may or may not be drinking, and trying to trick them into thinking that, oh, you should really attack Will over there instead of me because he's doing much better. I don't know. I was an actor. I did a lot of acting. And I guess the fun factor of that overcomes the fact that I would be succeeding at somebody else's. Also, those are implicitly... It's another thing, too. A two-player game... I should go back to setting stuff up. In a two-player game, the fundamental nature of the direct conflict of the zero sum. Every time I succeed, you fall. Every time I make you fall, I succeed just through the transitive property of zero sum gaming. It just makes two-player gaming is implicitly more cutthroat because of that. When there are 4 people around the table and I'm trying to get people to gang up on somebody else instead of me, most of the table is remaining in equilibrium. I'm putting one person back. And to be fair, I am actively trying to point out the person who is winning. And it is a viable way to look. Everybody has to understand, if we leave him all the sheep, he will win. Don't trade with Will. Don't give him more sheep. He's already got a monopoly. So that is, it doesn't, it is me. But I'm trying to steal from the rich and give to the poor. Now, in this case, the poor is me. So it is a different feel, rather than just the cutthroat, oh, I won this round, which means you lost, which means I'm winning and you're losing, and that just doesn't feel good to me. Okay, I think I've got everything queued up about as well as I need to. Famous last words. Watch that explode in my face. Let's see. Well, you know what? Since there's this other one where I'm just going down to our video, maybe I should move that one over too. Yeah. Okay, so if I just click that, we go there, and then we come back over here, and get big, get big, get big. There we go. All right. So, there we go. Fine. I've got my stuff queued up, folks. It is time for episode 4 of Crowd Sorcery. A name chosen by you. I hope you're not regretting it. Let's see here. And after I do this, now this should be 10 minutes. That is my intent, to try to get this done in under 10 minutes. So after we do that, I'll come back, and if any more questions have come up, I will answer them. So again, ask your question with a question mark at the beginning so I will see it. Cool? Alrighty. Let's put up the warning again. And, like I said, now this is going to be the entire episode, right? So, okay, I need to have the logo. and then I have to go to the logo to me to that scene. 1, 2, 3, and then back to me, and then back to the logo. Because does anybody out there know how to make a good Crowd Sorcery logo? I have no skills along those lines. All right, and in the meantime, all right, I don't need. Cool. So, bippity bop. You already know what the first one was. Spoiler alert, it's supply chain. Oh, it doesn't show up here, does it? It shows up here, though, and then it shows up over there on the side. Okay, so that's all cool. That's all working fine. So now take that back off the screen. Save. Come back to Talking Head. Everything's fine. I'm ready to go. And it says, hey, everybody, telling you, all right. And so what are the dates between now and August 16th? Okay, I think I'm ready to go. Broadcast browser. No. RT logo. Okay, folks. So here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 4 of Crowd Sorcery, which is the show where I do my best to try to find the coolest games, in my opinion at least, that are going to be ending their crowdfunding campaigns through a little bit of sorcery over the next couple of weeks. And today I've got 9 games to tell you about. 9 games that their campaigns will be closing down anywhere from August 8th to August 16th. So if any of these pique your interest, well, check the links down in the show notes. You'll be able to jump directly to these Kickstarter pages or other crowdfunding platforms. I don't want to spoil anything. And learn more about them and see if I was right or wrong about calling them out. Now, bear in mind, folks, I'm talking about stuff that I like. So you probably won't see a lot of games with a lot of punchy. You won't see a lot of games that don't work well for 2 players. But if you're like me, if you're a Care Bearer player who loves playing 2-player gaming, I hopefully have 9 of your potential jams. So without any further ado, let's talk about the first game on the list, Supply Chain. And now this is a really interesting game, a really kind of funky one, and I'm really intrigued by the fundamental nature of it because in this game you have a hand of cards that represent different links in a supply chain. Warehouses, distribution centers, the producers, the retailers, and every turn you are trying to make a supply chain by laying all these cards out here, linking them up with the links that are on the corners of the cards, and also slipping contracts in amongst all the other stuff. And to be able to complete a contract that you slip somewhere into this big jigsaw puzzle of tiles, well, you need to build an actual supply chain, because if all the goods that are needed to fill that contract are linked up to that contract, you'll win. But to do that, you're probably not linking things to fulfill other contracts or to complete other objectives, like getting certain buildings on certain streets and stuff like that. I am really intrigued by the puzzly nature of this. And while I'm sad to say it looks like the game, it might not fund. It's only going until August 8th, and I'm not sure if it's going to make it, but I kind of hope it does, because this is a plucky little game that looks incredibly deep. My only complaint about it from what I've read so far is it seems like it's a bit on the long side, and that might be a problem because I want this to be a really fast, quick, fun, puzzly, and tension-filled game that would last for about an hour. So I'm interested to learn more about the first game on the list, Supply Chain. But then we move on to the next one, Shoes Tactics, which I've already done a sponsored preview for, and so you can watch that video to learn more. This is a great print and play roll and write that is all about multi-use cards driven by dice to do polyomino tile laying to put down the Three Kingdoms Rebellion in ancient China. It's super sharp, and while originally it was announced that it was a solo-only game, they have since updated it, in part based on my feedback, to make it multiplayer compatible and cooperative as well. So it is really neat. I'm very, very excited about it. And you can hit that link to learn more. It's going until August 10th. That would be Shoes Tactics. Okay, number 3 on the list is another one I did a sponsored preview for. This one is Isle of Trains All Aboard, which is a cool little engine building game. Literally, you're building a train engine and all kinds of train cars, trying to load those train cars up with goods so you can deliver them to the Isle of Trains and complete objectives to score points. This game actually came out years ago. And I liked it then. I liked it even more now with the all-aboard new functionality that introduces passengers and all kinds of stuff. But the game has always been fantastic. You can check out my preview or my run-through I did all those years ago because it is just a blast. The main thing that makes it so cool is as you're building up your train, I might want to load stuff into your train instead of my own so I can get big bonuses that I wouldn't get if I'm loading my own stuff. So the interaction between players is fantastic in Isle of Trains. And this campaign ends on August 10th. Okay. Let's move right along. Next up, we've got Divine Dungeon, which ends on August 11th. And this was a sponsored video that Ryan did a brilliant rules how to play video for. I'm showing that on screen right now. And I'll admit, this is a little bit too cutthroat for me. This is a very cutthroat cavergy type thing where players are spending half their time building a big communal dungeon with all kinds of traps that they want to spring on their opponents, but then also preparing to run their own adventurer through the dungeon. And the thing that really jumps out more than anything else about this game, aside the fact from its a thematic tie-in with a very popular series of fantasy books called the Divine Dungeon series, is the fact that you have a handful of cards, and these cards have multi-use functions. You can either use them to protect yourself when your adventurer is going through the dungeon, or you can use them to attack somebody else's adventurer and take them out. And so there's a really interesting level of tension of, do I hold these cards back to protect myself, or do I use them now to attack you? So, probably a little too cutthroat for me, but if I were interested in cutthroat, I think I would definitely like to give Divine Dungeon a try, which is going until August 11th. Okay, next up, there is Star Realms Rise of Empire, which again is another game that normally you wouldn't find on a list from me. But basically, the thing that makes this is a legacy version of Star Realms, which is a famous, I like to call them dueling wizards, although in this case it's dueling spaceships. My armada versus your armada, trying to destroy each other and knock each other out through deck building. Star Realms is an incredibly popular series with good reason. It's a good design, just never really been one for me and Jen because of the head-to-head nature. Until they came up with a legacy one. I so want to play this because it is full to the brim of stickers! Stickers that you get to put on cards over the course of multiple games. You're not only, leveling up and, how you do in one game will affect future games, and we're, playing through, I believe, a 12-chapter legacy campaign, very much like, the Pandemic legacy games, but, you earn sweet, sweet stickers. You give me stickers to put on a card and I am there. And so I desperately want to try this. But not only because of the legacy, but there's another thing too. The original Star Realms is a very straightforward slugfest. I'm trying to destroy your stuff, you're trying to destroy my stuff. But now this game introduces new alternate win conditions where you're trying to, say, get a certain number of stickers or other things. You're still fighting each other, but fighting isn't the only reason to be here now. And that just seems like a really great addition to Star Realms in general. Now, I'll admit, you got me because of legacy. You got me because of stickers. I know the design is great. I think Jen and I would enjoy playing 12 games of this. And then after you're done with the campaign, it is infinitely replayable. It's not like this is a game where you end up having to throw it away like some legacy games out there. So I'm very, very interested. This is going until August 11, Star Realms Rise of Empire. Did you expect that one, folks? Probably not from me. But anyway, let's move on to the next one. Sunshine City. Oh my goodness, this is a sweet, adorable, it's another print and play roll and write project where you back for a very, very low cost, and you have until August 12th to do it. And you get PDFs or JPEGs. This is like Shoes Tactics a bit ago that you can print out yourself and play and play and replay. I actually talk in my run through. You can check my sponsored preview of this where I talk about ways that you can make it more replayable with some very cool accessories. But anyway, this at its heart is a rondelle game where you've got 3 different discs on, or meeples or cubes or whatever, on the rondelle, and every turn you're going to move 2 of them and then activate 2 of the locations on the rondelle. And it sounds really simple, but it is so rich and satisfying in a very Gone Shown Clever-esque way. Gone Shown Clever style combo-y goodness mixed with rondelles, one of my favorite mechanisms of all time, mixed with a wonderful theme of trying to make a green solar-powered city makes this a winner chicken dinner every step of the way for me, which is why I definitely suggest you check it out before August 12th when the campaign's in. Sunshine City. Okay, how about we go to the next one? This is one that I didn't cover, but Shay did. It's called Moonrise. And this is going until August 13th. Now, Moonrise is a hugely successful, monstrously popular game that had a great Kickstarter. And this Kickstarter, I think, is over 1.5 million right now. So this that introduces 3 new expansions to the gameplay adds so much. And obviously, people are super excited about it. And I understand why. I've never been interested in playing Moonrakers because it is a deck building game where you are trying to engage in different space missions, but a huge part of the game is negotiation between players because you want to entice other players to come and help you because often you can't do anything alone. Now that's cool. I would love to play this someday at a higher player count game, but I don't think it works very well as a 2. And I think most people agree. Moonrakers, you want to have at least 3 players to play. Even with the cool new expansions that came, because they add like more deck building and stuff like that. But one of the new expansions that is part of this Kickstarter campaign adds cooperative play. And not only that, narrative campaign cooperative, app-driven. Those are all the buzzwords I love. I love app integration games. I love narrative campaigns. I love cooperative play, where now I'm not trying to cajole people to come and help me complete my projects. You're incentivized to because we're working together. We only win if we work together. Why hasn't there always been co-op? I would have been playing Moonrakers years ago. But you can do it now with the new Moonrakers Titan expansions. And if you want to know more about it, check out Shay's excellent run-through, or at the very least, his final thoughts, where he goes into depth about how the Titan expansions really change up a game he already loves, and so many other people love it too. So anyway, you've got until August 13th, and then Moonrakers Titans closes down. So let's move on to the next one. Now this one just launched this morning. I almost missed it, and I'm glad I didn't because it looks beautiful. It is from Button Shy Games, and it's called Fishing Lessons. It is a solo-only design from Scott Almes. This is like the 3rd or 4th game Scott Almes has done for Button Shy that are solo-only games. This one has a beautiful story of your husband, or maybe it was your father, or your grandfather, or your brother, depending on who you play as. You are a relative of an avid fisherman who passed away a year ago. And on the anniversary of his death, you want to honor his memory by going out and fishing and using the lessons you learned from him. That is a beautiful story, which I'm not going to dwell on because I will literally get teary about it. But functionally, in terms of gameplay, this is a very clever little game where the lessons let you move your ship to different places on the lake. All the lake cards are face down. You get to flip some of them up, flip other ones down, and depending on which character you play, you are trying to achieve different layouts of the lake in a certain number of turns. It seems like a brilliant, charming, puzzly little game with just about the most heartwarming theme I can possibly imagine. And if that didn't get you in, but you like solo games, you could just get fishing lessons on this campaign, which ends on the 13th, August 13th. It started, and it's not going to be around very long. Or they have a higher level backing thing where you can get all of Scott Almes' solo Button Shy games. And apparently they are all great. So if you're a solo player, this is definitely one you don't want to miss. Scott Almes is a fantastic designer. I mean, his solo Warp's Edge I played years ago was brilliant. So I suspect this is going to be brilliant too. I watched a little bit of gameplay of it this morning. I said, oh my gosh, that looks like so much fun. So definitely worth checking out. Brand new, and it's only going to stick around for a few days. August 13th, you have to check out Fishing Lessons. Okay, and now we've got one more, folks, and we're leaving Kickstarter behind. We're going to BackerKit because this is the new 3rd platform for crowdfunding. And on BackerKit, they have brought back Return to Dark Tower, new 2nd printing with a new expansion. And I have to admit, ever since Kimberly Tolson did a Return to Dark Tower run-through on my channel, she so made me want to play this game. The toy factor of this game is so through the roof. The way that Dark Tower comes to life and has literal AI, opens and closes doors, surprises you while you are playing in a cooperative fantasy game around the base of it. This looks so good. You know what I should have put on the screen? I should have put Rahdo, Return to Dark Tower. I'm calling an audible halfway through because I didn't realize that video was going to be so short on the Attract. So let's have Kimberly play the game a little bit for you. You can watch her run through. This tower is alive. It thinks, it knows what you're doing, and it's like there's an actual dungeon master working against you. And the cooperative nature of it is what really draws me in. This is something I really want to play. And so it's available on BackerKit right now. Again, folks, if you haven't been to BackerKit before, links down in the show notes. This is the new player in town, and you have until August 16th to see what all the hubbub is about. Check out Kimberly's run through of it. It was one of the first ones she did. It's a lot of fun when this thing comes to life and it has flashing lights and it opens and closes doors, all kinds of neat stuff. So that was it, folks. The last one on the list, ending in August 16th, 2 weeks from now, is Dark Tower on BackerKit. And that's it. Another Crowd Sorcery. Let me know if any of those were interesting to you. Let me know if I missed anything down in the comments. And I'll be back 2 more weeks from now to tell you about other games that will be coming to a close very quickly, folks. So thanks for watching. Have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye. Okay, boom. That was quick, right? I think I went longer than 10 minutes, but I am not very good at cutting to the chase. That is not my secret sauce. But how did that sound, everybody? Did you have any more questions? Oh, I see a few more questions have come up. Okay. Kabuki. That's kind of you to say that I flew through it. I flew through it in Rahdo terms. I didn't fly through it. I mean, Tom Vassell would have done that in half the time. But I just can't stop talking. Righty. So, did you say? Did I see the word goofed? Did somebody goofed? Oh, what did I say? What did I call Moonraker? Moonbuggy? I don't know. The important thing is the correct text was on screen. So, not gonna worry about it too much. I think people are fairly forgiving of my goofs because they can sense, they know that I'm doing this in one take. All right, anyway, so questions. Oh, I'm sorry, fam. Did you want a second battle royale? There was just no time. There's no time, fam. Look at it. I'm 20 minutes over today, so you'll have to wait till next week, folks, to get your battle royale on. Let's see. How are the new chicks? The new chicks are doing great, Kabuki. They drive their mother, their adopted mother, nuts because they're so tiny that they can squeeze through the chicken wire. And Buffy, the Buff Orpington, who is their adopted mother, cannot. So they are just they are now very ballsy and are just going out and wandering all over the backyard. And all Buffy can do is just sit there and watch. Apparently, Jen says that if she wants them to come back, she can do certain clucks that will make them come back. Jen's seen it happen. I've never seen it happen. I feel bad. I just want to open the door and let Buffy out. But no, they're growing fast. Their feathers are coming in, although they're still just making nonstop peep noises. And Jen is now coming face to face with the fact that she's about to leave, so she's going to miss all their formative growth. Because she's going to be gone for so long. Alrighty. All right, CBS link. You understand I don't like trick-taking games because it's all about outdoing opponent. I wonder how you like co-op trick-taking games. Like, oh yeah, you know what? I could have gone into a bit more detail about that. I love The Crew. I think that a cooperative trick-taking, you have my interest. Animalia is another one that I talked about in, I think, last month's Roundup, or maybe the month before. It was very good, too. It almost beats The Crew, except for a couple little tweaks I would have made to the design. I really liked Animalia as well. I have tried Fox in the Forest Duet, and honestly, I thought it was good. But Jen and I found it was way too easy. I guess we have played too many imperfect communication games, so we're really good at intuiting what the other person needs, and we just found we just couldn't lose at it. So I liked it. I would have liked to do it more, but no. The Crew, or actually, forget about The Crew. Now Crew Deep Sea is where it's at. I got rid of my Crew and kept Crew Deep Sea. And if you like it, I highly recommend checking out Animalia. There's a couple variant tweaks you can make that would make that game just about perfect, I think, although it's still very good. And I'm down for more co-op trick-taking, definitely. Alrighty. Fidelia says, do I have Nanolith in my Kickstarter wishlist? Goes live on August 15th. No. But, if it goes live August 15th, it probably won't be done in 2 weeks, right? I'm sure it's got at least a 3-week campaign. So I'm sure I will be looking at it 2 weeks from now, when it's 6 days away from ending, because I'm only covering games that are ending in the next 2 weeks. Now, that has led to a problem. Last episode, episode 3, I really screwed up because 2 big monster games launched on the day that I recorded Crowd Sorcery, and I didn't know about them, and they both had 10 days. And I don't even remember what they are now, and I'm so embarrassed that I didn't mention them, which is why, literally, like half an hour before I went live today, I better check one more time and see if something went live. And what do you know? That fishing game had gone live. And if I had missed that, I'm like, what's with these 10-day campaigns? At least do 15. At least do 15 for me. Publishers? I don't think I'm the first concern of publishers. Okay, it looks like I have caught up with the questions. And, yep. And, okay, so you folks have been entertaining yourself, but I've got other stuff to do today. Jen is leaving tomorrow. We got a lot of stuff. She has to teach me how to take care of baby chicks. She has to teach me, her tomatoes are going absolutely bonkers insane. Oh, I should have turned this off the whole time. The F12 because I'm actually seeing what you're saying now. So I've got a lot to learn. Plus, I've got to record all the other stuff because I'm going to put Crowd Sorcery up tomorrow, and I'm going to put the Rahdo run through up on Thursday, and on Friday, folks, this is going up. Come together right now over me. Oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so amazing. And I've got a world exclusive. Nobody else has a copy of it. It's not coming out till Essen. Oh man, wait till you see it. So it's going to be a good rest of the week. And while Jen is gone, I'm going to be playing a lot of Dead Reckoning so that I can do a Kickstarter solo run through to answer whoever's, I think was it Bing asking the solo question. And I'm also going to be playing a lot of Stars of Akarios. It's interesting. Stars of Akarios, a lot of people liken it to Gloomhaven. Here's another way it's very similar to Gloomhaven. When I covered Gloomhaven on Kickstarter, half a decade ago, Jen was gone again. She was gone for 2 weeks, and I played the heck out of my prototype I had of Gloomhaven. And I did a run-through saying at the time, I hope Jen likes it as much as I do. And I had like one of the first videos up. Same thing is going to happen now. Because Jen's going to be gone, I'm going to be doing a lot of solo play. And when she eventually gets back, fortunately, at that point, hopefully I will have mastered it, so it'll be easy to teach her, and we'll see how well she likes it. So the next couple of weeks, going to be a lot of playing Dead Reckoning and Arcanos to get ready for filming those, because those are both big games. And it'll be a lot of solo. It's going to be a very solo-y month, the month of August for me. And all right, that gave you enough time to ask any more questions. It looks like none came in, so it is time, folks. It is time to raid. Blunderbuss is on. Didn't they raid us? Blunderbuss raided us. And, okay, this must be out of date. Let me look at this. Twitch TV, not Rahdo runs through. Let me look over here. I feel like this is just giving me bad data. Board games. What channels that do board games are live right now? There's me. I do board games. There's Losapalooza. Right. Okay. Well, oh, yeah, I don't need that. All right, okay. And is Blunderbuss not under board games? Blunderbuss TV. And they are... No, they're hosting me. So this is wrong, Raid. No, all right, oh, you know what I just need to do? So this is wrong, I need to close it. I just need to go to any other thing. I need to shut that down. All right, so I just need to go to any other view. And then when I come back, that will force a reload. And then, if I go, there we go. Okay, yes. So, board games. Right, perfect. You know what? What was Losapalooza doing? They are playing, I think, yeah, they are playing Super Skill Pinball, the new one. They are playing Go for Gold. It looks adorable. I think everybody should go say hey. So let's go on ahead and raid them, shall we? I'm going to start the raid countdown and tell them Rahdo sent you, folks. Hopefully you had a good time. Hopefully I put on a good show for you, although the work for me has just begun. So go get Luza in 3, 2, 1. Raid! Raid, 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 raid. Go, 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 go. All right. Now let's look over here and see if... All right. Oh, who's that? Do they have a guest host? That's surprising. And he is too deep. Where's Dave? Dave always catches it. Did I not roll?
I just missed the flume at all.
Okay. Oh wait, somebody's welcoming.
All
right. Okay. He is going to finish his turn eventually. Whoever this fella is. It is not Ilka and is not Dave.
With the 5, which is 10, which is 20 points.
Or maybe he's not.
15, 20.
Okay. My work here is done, folks. Thanks very much for watching the show. I will see you again.
Oh, I have to trigger the balloons.
There we go.
Where are the balloons? Hello, everybody. Hello, Rahdo. How are you doing? As you can see.
Okay. Things are now going well. I'll talk to you later, everybody. So long. Bye-bye.